All right, great. We're going live and we're going to get started here. I'm going to connect up to the things here in just a minute. Give me a second here to make all the connections set up. As soon as John starts the live stream, we'll connect to that on X. You can join us every day on a live stream. You can join us on X, either on a live stream. If you want to talk, you can join the AI John Allen space. He hosts it. I do the co-hosting. And if you want, you can watch on X live stream or Twitch, or you can even go to YouTube live, and you can watch the live stream every day noon. And then because they're on YouTube, they're recorded in that. I haven't done any processing yet, but we'll get to that shortly. We're going to get to some post-processing, put in some additional details and links and activities and other stuff so that you guys can keep up with all the AI news and all of everything that's going on and whatever is most interesting in your lives. But we're going to get to those things in a few minutes. But a couple of things I've mentioned over the last few days. We've got Amazon, Google, and Microsoft now coming out with super fast quantum level processing chips with qubit type of processing power, which is frankly amazing. And when we can get to that kind of processing, we're going to have some amazing things going on. All right, looks like the live show is going to get started. We're going to start listening in just a minute. And let's go ahead and get connected over here. And then we'll start live streaming for everybody. Come on, where is it? Where's John's live stream? There it is.
We are doing our show on a regular basis, Monday through Friday, from noon till 2 p.m. or longer. Andy, you there?
I am.
Okay.
Was I muted? Yes. Was I muted, or could you hear me?
I am, but there's some bleed over. It sounds like there's some echo. Either your mic is on or something else is on.
Okay, I'm gonna get my headphones on. Is there still bleed over?
Nope, we're good now. Now we're good.
Perfect. Excellent. Well, it is the AI Biz Hour with Andy and John, or Andy and John's AI Biz Hour. And today is Monday, March 3rd, 2025. We're in the third month of the year, and there's a lot going on. Andy, anything big and exciting in your world?
What's
just normal stuff. We got every day there's something new in AI. I've seen a lot of people talking about N8N and Cursor and how fast they are and how productive they are. So it's fascinating to see that. I have started to dabble a little bit with Copilot in the Microsoft kind of economy, ecosphere, whatever you want to call that. And that's interesting. But I'm always interested in whatever the news we find, because every morning is going to be different.
Absolutely. I saw that Endless was putting her thumb down. I think, Endless, can you give me a thumbs up if we fixed anything that was a problem? I'd appreciate it. I think that I had two mics on at once.
When I'm speaking, there seems to be some additional response. That it's gone now.
Good. We got a thumbs up finally.
Yeah, I've got this. This is crazy. We got two mics, and you know, I've got my phone on, and I've got my desktop on, and there's a lot going on here. But I think that we got the thumbs up from Endless, so I think everything sounds good now, which is good. Um, so Andy, is there anything that happened over the weekend that was interesting with what you're doing? I had some things that I was doing with AI that was interesting. And I feel like today I actually, you know, got to a new level of prompt engineering, um, because I'm making these little AI agents for specific things. And I have one specifically for prompts, but I'm realizing that you know, to have one universal prompt making AI agent, I don't know if it's actually the best idea, because these little nuances can send the prompt off in the wrong direction. Uh,
Yeah, it reminds me of what Umesh said a month or two ago about the real processing and the next big leap is going to be on that front end, creating the prompts or using AI specifically to generate the best prompt so that it can get the best answer. And I really have found that to be really true, surprisingly.
Yeah, and there's certain a couple last week, I think it was Mr. E, or 2 weeks ago, gave me some get on the show, gave everyone some guidance on prompt making and with some verbiage. And so I started to use that, but then I'm realizing that you can't throw the whole kitchen in with the prompts. So you need to really find out which aspects of prompts are good. Like there was a thing that was put out by OpenAI yesterday, last week, where it said you have a goal and then you have a warning and then you have an example and one other thing. It's on my account, but even there, you know, yeah, it's for every specific thing. It really helps to tweak because I'm taking interview. What is it? Crystal talked about. She was had her clients on Zoom and was interviewing them and using the transcripts and then making content out of that. So I did that, but organizing the content from the interview was one thing, and trying to put into, you know, various topics, and then tweaking that. The first iteration it came out, there was a lot of you know, sentences that didn't make sense, and it took a bit of tweaking to get that down. So now I got that down, and then I'm you know, it's a all this stuff is multi-layered to get a final outcome that's really quality. It does take a couple layers. Now, if I had some agentic AIs that I string together in the right daisy chain, I'm sure that we would get the right output. But I'm realizing more and more while I'm doing this, because Umesh says, you know, if you have the wrong thing going on with a group of daisy chains, by the time you get the output, it can be really far off. So it's really takes a lot of effort and nuances to get these prompts down, because the key now, what I'm doing now is I'm putting in one aspect of all the prompts is to make it repeatable. And so there's a repeatable outcome that I can count on, and then I can share that prompt with clients or businesses and expect for them to have a repeatable outcome. But yeah, you got to really spend time with these things before you can make you know, one AI agent attached to another agent attached to another one for a series to create an outcome. You know, it's gonna there is a lot of trial and error. And actually, now that I'm talking, I remember that Mr. E mentioned that, you know, he did some crazy number of iterations to finally get what worked. And yeah, that's my experience completely. Any thoughts on that, Andy?
Yeah, you know, if you rearrange the words, you'll get a different response. If you use the same context but put in a comma, you'll get a different response. If you use the same context and put a period at the end of your sentence, you'll get a different response. So it's surprising. The other thing is in using ChatGPT, If you use the 4.0 model and then you run the same thing on the 0.1 model and the same one on the mini model and the same one with the 0.3 model, you're going to get different responses, which is really surprising to me. And I find it interesting that Grok is the only one that it does have a drop down where you pick which model you're using, but primarily it doesn't give you more than one choice. It just gives you, Grok 3 beta. It doesn't give you, you can't use Grok 2 anymore. It just shows Grok 3. And if you go to grok.com, it still doesn't allow you to do that. You have to have those models loaded or the API loaded in some other interface in order to do that. So I don't know if that's good or bad, but I find it interesting.
Yeah, there's a feature on we'll get Jonathan, or have the hand up, please. If anybody has any input in what we're talking about, really, the show's this only as good as those that are here and share and stuff, because Andy and I can talk, but it's the real amazing stuff. It comes in from the guests. My AI tutor has a function where it's multi-bot ultra, and so I do a lot where I will put in one prompt, and I did this with a book that I'm working on, and then I give it to various agents because of their specific features that they have. And I was really shocked about the output in terms of the quality. And Claude 3.7 just stood out hands and above everything else, and it was big. It's a 67-page output. It's really great to have that tool where you can put in the one prompt and see all the outputs side by side and really drill into which one is the better. Andy or Brad, would you like to say something, or Andy?
Let's go to the hands, and then maybe if you've got some news, let's talk about that.
Sounds good. Brad, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you? How are you, John?
Very good.
Yeah, I was just wanted to say, in terms of like prompting, there's a library called DSPY. I think it's been mentioned here before, but that library seems to be pretty good at like refining a prompt you want. So all you basically have to do is define inputs and outputs. Like you're gonna feed in some maybe like maybe some kind of text, and you want to extract, let's say you want to extract entities. So you would just write like a bunch of examples, and it could optimize that prompt that does that. um, so in terms of like writing prompts, I personally don't really like to fiddle around with it. I'd rather go the DSPY route where you're just defining inputs and outputs, and it basically comes up with the prompt for you.
Can you explain a little bit more about defining inputs and outputs?
Yeah, so the inputs, say you're doing entity extraction where you have some sentences and you want to pull out like the proper nouns or the entities out of the sentence. So you basically, the inputs would be the sentences, the outputs would be the entities you want to pull out. So say you have like a sentence like John goes to the store. Um, John goes to the store would be the input, and John would be the output. And then basically, and you do that like many times, like probably like at least 50 times. And then DSPY can basically map a function between the two, or map like a prompt between the two. So basically it like tries out different prompts, and it can like optimize and figure out which prompt is best. Um, so it's also good at like structured data extraction and that kind of thing. So I don't know, it's worth looking at.
Yeah, I mean, I'm starting to, Umesh has mentioned this a few times, but I didn't really have the experience of now, working hard to get these repeatable prompts that have nuances in them. And so now looking at this in a whole nother way. So yeah, I'm going to do a deep dive into this. Thank you so much, Brad. This is uh yeah, this is exactly what I needed.
Hey, Brad, are you generating app level activities or just data level activities? Are you creating apps with like Cursor or N8N or any of those other kind of text to web, text to app kind of things?
Yes, yeah, I am. I'm using sometimes I use Bolt for like the front end, and then Cursor to develop like the back end. I've done that before. That's worked pretty well. I've also heard V0 is really good, and people also like Lovable. And so I do use those app builders. They do save like a ton of time. They like speed my workflow up like 10x at least. So I use Cursor like as a daily driver, building out apps. The agent system is really great. I don't know if you've tried it out, but it's like built on top of VS Code, but um, basically you can basically prompt what you want and it will just modify the code and like implement those features. So I do use Cursor a lot. Um, so
I heard that Bolt, working on it, like the end product, if you are putting it into the marketplace, can break often. I, your background is coding. You really understand coding. Do you have to tweak it a lot, or is it out of the box in pretty good shape? Maybe it's improved a bunch.
yeah, with Bolt, you can it really is only good at generating the front end. So when you can basically make the website like you can design how it looks and how different elements uh like work and how they interact when you click on them. But then you have to export that code to Cursor typically, and you have to build a backend and like hook it up to a database typically. But apparently there's this one called Lovable. I haven't tried it yet, but it can build like the whole app, front end, back end, and database. It hooks into Supabase, which is a database by Google. Um, and that one I've heard good things about, but I haven't tried that one. So to answer your question with Bolt, it can basically just do the front end.
That's exciting. I mean, to save your time 10x, I'm going directly with Visual Studio Code, but I have so many changes. I tried to push it into GitHub, and it was like you exceeded 1,000 changes or something like that. It wouldn't let me. Desktop wouldn't let me push it to GitHub. So something that can save me all those reiterations, I think, are going to be awesome.
Yeah, I highly recommend you try out Cursor. Or there's this other one. I haven't tried this one, but there's one called Windsurf. Windsurf is also really popular, but VS Code is a little more difficult to work with. So
Cool. Thanks. Is there anything else you want to add, or that we'll go to Jonathan? But thank you, Brad. That's great information. Anything that can save 10x time where somebody knows what they're doing is definitely worth checking out.
the only
Are you still there? I think you muted yourself, Brad.
You
sorry
dropped
about
off.
that. The only other I keep getting muted. I don't know why that's happening, but the only other tool I'd recommend is Cline, Cline. And it's like a extension for VS Code, and That's pretty good. You can it hooks into something called MCPs, which are basically these different tools the agent can interact with. So you might have an
Yeah, something's happening where this thing's getting muted. I apologize for that, Brad. I didn't touch anything, but it's glitching out. Can you finish what you were saying, please? I'm sorry.
so Klein is pretty good because it can basically run um it can run by itself, and it can write some code, and it can test the code and see if it's working. That's a pretty good tool. So I'd recommend Klein, Bolt, Lovable, V0, and Cursor and Windsurf. Those are all great tools.
Awesome. Yeah, I've heard. I've used the Klein extension on Visual Studio Code. Sorry, Andy. Please.
I'd never heard of Klein, but I don't work in the, I'm not really doing the development side of stuff. But what does Klein actually do?
So Klein is basically an agent, a coding agent, and it can read your code, but it can also talk to different tools. Uh, Tools are also called like MCPs, Model Context Protocol, which was put out by Anthropic. And these are there's a lot of MCPs out there. There's a list of them. I can grab that list if you want, but if you search like awesome MCP, there's a list of like a few hundred MCPs. So basically, GitHub might have an MCP, or Twitter might have an MCP. But basically, you can have this agent talking to different MCPs, and it can accomplish tasks like you can have it like read your code, modify your code, and then push to GitHub. That might be like one workflow. Um,
Does it do editing and like, here's a better way to do that? Or, hey, have you thought of this? Or, hey, don't go that library, go to this library. Does it do that kind of stuff too?
yeah, you can put it in planner mode. There's two modes. There's planner mode and act mode. So if you go in planner mode, it's not actually changing any files. So you can ask questions like that in planner mode. And then basically you can come up with like a plan of like how you want to change the code, what you want to do, and then when you've kind of worked through all that with Klein, you can hit act and it will start implementing it. So it's pretty good in that way.
That's very cool. I love that. I anticipated that if it can take my, okay, so I anticipated that it would be able to help you with coding, right? Clearly to do things like uh, context text completion, right? Complete that particular sentence, put in the right brackets and semicolons and the rest of the, because it does, we can do that in text. But then I also thought, if it can take my paragraph and then make suggestions on to delete this word, add that word, make this change. And I don't know if you guys have ever used Grok on that. If you take a paragraph, put it into Grok, and then say, edit this, it will literally gray out the things that you shouldn't do and put in green the things that you should say, and make all of your copywriting better. So that's cool. But I when I saw those things, I thought, this is good for writing copy for humans, but it would be even better if it, changed, hey, you've got these nested if statements, just convert this to a case statement. It's less context. It's easier to see. It's more obvious from like a rules processing perspective, as opposed to that prioritization of activities and things like that, that get lost when you're trying to solve the logical side of the code. You sometimes get lost in the process side of the code. What decision goes first? What decision then cascades the rest of it when you're just trying to, fix a bug or solve something? And I thought that AI would be super useful in allowing it to see kind of, one step back, see the whole picture and go, yeah, that's good, but put that function first and then put this check second. and then do the rest of the process. So you can just eliminate, instead of running cycles through something that goes no, 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 no. If they're all no's, just put the first no first and then just exit the function. It makes things faster. It's less time, less utilization, less resources, stuff like that. That optimization, I thought AI would be fantastic for. Are you guys seeing that? Is that what it's for? Is that what you guys are using it for? Or are there even other tools that do that I haven't even heard about yet?
Well, I think the best tool for that would be Cursor's agent. But the way I use Klein is I I have it write some tests. So I say I'm trying to write a function that does whatever. I have it write a bunch of tests first, and then I tell it to write that function and make sure it passes the test. So it will like churn away. It will write the function, run the test against it. Maybe like one or two will fail. Then it will modify the function. It can like kind of churn in that loop where it's going back and forth between tests and like rewriting your code. That's like a really good workflow I use it for. But it can get kind of expensive um, because it's feeding in like the whole chat history every time. So I'd recommend you use Cursor Agents. The Cursor Agent seems a little better in my opinion because you're paying one flat fee. You're paying just 20 a month and you can use it as much as you want basically.
Nice, good tips. Hey, Jonathan, you got your hand up. What's up?
Hey Andy, how you doing? Hey John, thanks for providing me with the mic. Hey everybody. Yeah, basically what I wanted to say, recently I'm just prompting slightly differently in GPT. Before I used to write it down and just implement, like a profile, a task, some examples. And recently I've been using like much more like the voice recording mode, which allowing me basically like to speak like for 3-4 minutes, sometimes 5 minutes. It's less, in a format that normally like you use like for regular prompt. But I realized that kind of like speaking in a natural way, providing like kind of like the same result, well, even better, because you're providing much more context. And in my situation, most of the time, like because I'm dealing with like guests in the hospitality industry, I don't have the time like to sit down and write something, but I need sometimes to just identify some guest preferences and all of that. And it's just allowing me like to go much more faster and get a faster result. And I know a lot of people were kind of disappointed with the GPT voice mode because it's very soft. And I saw like couple posts on X in comparison with the voice mode of Grok, which were like more rough. But in fact, you can actually like when you are using like the voice mode with like the voice answering you, it will really stay in this same very soft version. And most of the time, what is happening to me is that like it seems that like when you use restriction of OpenAI. I'm not sure why exactly, but when you actually like use the voice recorder mode and you just ask like GPT to just be like to switch like to a real brutal, honest mode, it kind of providing like the same type of very rough result than and very critical result than on Grok. So yeah, I'm not on the like developer mode, or I've started to use like Bolt and Lovable, but in a very basic way. But I'm just saying like if you want to really identify like some pain points in your whatever is your industry, and you try and like to bring like some solution with AI, like prompting in this way, like it seems that it's really working, and it's kind of like different than what you do normally when you type it down. So yeah, that's basically it.
That's really amazing. That voice. I mean, we've heard from Sanan and Umesh that it's and Harsh that able to get nuances within the voice and to understand intent and these things. So it does make sense. But do you have any one example of how it improved and like what level? Because that's super. I'm super curious about that, Jonathan. And thank you for sharing this with us.
Yeah, of course, no problem. My pleasure. Well, for example, when I'm like dealing with guests, I don't have the time to sit down, and I just have basically like a project open on my phone, like in ChatGPT directly, and I will just like provide like raw information. Just like, for example, let's say, guest from room 407 order like a bottle of champagne, like what they prefer is Moet and Chandon, and like it will just like keep accumulating this information, etc., etc., etc. And then at the end like of my shift, I just ask and I in the same time I provide like some maybe like some mistake we have encountered or we have made with guests, or any complaints I had, and for the same room or another one. And like each time, what basically ChatGPT does is like it's telling me like, okay, this information logged for this client, because in the original prompt for like the GPT project, I just basically mentioned what was like the overall goal of this particular chat, this particular project. And at the end of the day, I just asking like GPT to just like provide me back like all the information I've implemented along my shift, and just tell me like how we could improve, if I mean like there is any example in this hospitality industry that were already implemented, etc. And so once I have like all this information, I can just like switch on to a deep research level, and it will just take like the entire information of the chat and just like make a deep research and just provide me like better insights in my particular field to solve like this particular problem. So yeah, that's basically it.
I love what you're doing. I mean, I'm sure everybody here is getting ideas on to do something like that. I I really want to have a chat app to work with while I'm working, so I can talk to them and throw ideas and have them teach me and other things. But that just sounds like you're taking absolutely the greatest advantage of your time, your situation, and enhancing yourself all at once. That's just awesome. Do your bosses know what you're doing, or you're just acting exceptional?
Well, in fact, like I keep on doing it like all the time, all day long, and I realized that you can actually use that like for other particular, reason. And the great thing with that is like your GPT apps is working like somehow like your agent, because you just need like it's a very simple system, in fact. And as you said, John, you just using like what is already there. And I doing the same like to actually like track my habits, because I realize like, for example, I used to use better help, like like for working out and just tracking like some food habits, some mindset habits. And I realized like I could do like use exactly the same process that I just explained before for like hospitality industry. And I will just say okay, well, I take my phone and I just say, okay, I drink 2 coffee, I drink 2 glass of water. This is my mindset right now. If I have doubts, if I feel confident whatsoever, And same thing one more time. I just like ask at the end of the day, can you provide me with just summarize like the entire day, and then the entire week, and not yet the entire month, because I'm doing that, like I've done that for the past 3 weeks. So I don't have like an entire month yet, but it's just allowing me like to just like have some kind of track record. And it's just super easy, and it doesn't take me like much time, because in a matter of like 5 seconds I can just like tell whatever I have to say to ChatGPT, and just and the data is over there. So that's basically it.
You should start getting hired by hospitality places to teach your system to everybody who works there. I think you got a lot. There's a lot of things you can do with what you've learned to do. It's awesome. Congratulations. Andy, if you have any questions, or we'll go to Jeff.
I love it. All it does every time we have these conversations, it just proves that the idea that you can ask a question and have the chatbot give you an unbiased answer can be used in an infinite number of ways. It can be used to create a photographer used one to create, I saw this, used it to create the optimum lighting angles and the optimum lighting, uh, heat values, color values, and percentages to get the best picture. I've seen it used by stage blocking. I've seen it used by script writing. I've seen it used. I use it myself to produce content, text content, idea content, marketing content. Now we've seen it used to do code editing as well as suggestions on that. I mean, now we're talking about how do we use it for hospitality and to do better by, in a customer service kind of perspective. Awesome. I think I literally just am like excited every day to hear how somebody is using this. And I haven't even, there's a bunch of other crazy ideas that people are using to do things like, I saw one yesterday that was, it took a picture of a engine and the engine is moving, and then you take the AI in front of it and the AI figures out what the engine and the piston and the whole thing is doing, so that you can just take an overlay over the top of the engine and see it moving, and then move it out of the way and see the engine still functioning, but you on the outside. And then you can just go over the overlay and you can go sideways, you can go around it, and it'll show you what this is the shape of the piston, and this is the things like that. Think about, I mean, I literally could sit here for the next hour and come up with crazy ideas of things that you could use. Like, I know this is so stupid, but this is true. What about the deflection angle on the front fork of a bicycle for a mountain bike or a downhill bike or a racing bike or a track bike or a comfort bike that you're just going to cruise around on the beach? Each one of those have different angles. However, should it be, like 13.4 degrees or 13.8 degrees or 14 degrees? These deflection angles and gyroscopic activities can be easily calculated by these kind of activities, just as one stupid example. Or how thick should the tubes be in order to create the appropriate amount of tensile strength to hold this much weight during this much power stroke on an uphill while you're I mean, things like that. We used to build huge, big, giant computer models with tons of data in basically spreadsheet forms that we load into a data lake, that then this kind of extrapolates out. And IBM's been doing this with Watson for years and years and years. They started it with Deep Blue, right? How do you calculate the next chess move, and what's the highest percentage of what's the highest score for the next chess move? And it just goes through the whole thing. Well, now you can start doing it to all kinds of stuff, like, really, you want Dom instead of Moet Chandon? What if you want some other kind of champagne? What if you don't want actual champagne, you want it from California and want something else? You could just list it out and go, well, here's a crazy one. If you're going to hospitality, what happens if we switch everything from Moet to something else, to some other vineyard, and then just promote that, but we get a 20% discount because we sell those as opposed to Moe. How then, what does that do to our bottom line? What does that do to our guest satisfaction? If there's a discount in our guest satisfaction, well, then it's worth the 20% premium to sell the higher champagne or not. You can ask these kind of questions and it will give you a reasonable response. It's not perfect. And I love the word reasonable response, but the more you can imagine, I don't know, is she on here today? We have a gal from Estonia who joins us frequently, and she just got promoted to being the primary AI consultant for her consulting company in Estonia. Awesome for her. But she used AI to calculate the size of the log of the timber to purchase this level of timber for a manufacturer that then takes the raw timber and turns it into window frames. So they calculated the optimum size plus or minus a certain amount of circumference. They said, we only want to buy these ones because they get the maximum amount of wood out of that log in order to produce the window frames. So crazy things like that you can do with the LLMs by just asking a question, because it can calculate that. It just doesn't know what to add. It doesn't know what to optimize. We still have to ask it. And so I love these conversations that we have about, oh, okay, so what, I can go down the rabbit hole on everything, but I love the conversation. Thank you, Jonathan, for sharing. That was just awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And just to add on what you have said, Andy, like regarding guest preferences, and in fact, what is crazy, it allow you like to do a amazing amount of upsell, and that's why like it's so valuable. And in fact, what is even crazier is that like right now I'm just like kind of on the low, so I'm cleaning chalet in the French Alps. But priorly, I used to work for some yachting cruise company, and this yachting cruise company like worth billions of euros, and like they actually like they like their clients, most of them, they spend probably like 1.2 million euros buying cruise in Arctic, in the Mediterranean Sea, etc. And like they actually don't have like the right tracking on their guest preferences. And with just like simple tools like that, with AI, you can actually like track that. And just like each time, because like the biggest challenge in my industry is that most of the time when, for example, a guest like is booking a new journey from a different office, well, the information system is just not following because like maybe we have the information on board in one of the yachts, but on another yacht we will not have the information. So you have like people that spend like millions of euros. They keep on having to say like, oh, I don't eat garlic. My wife is allergic to honey or whatsoever. And with just like simple tools like that, you can maximize guest preferences and just like actually have like a strong prediction, because like in the hospitality industry, you are dealing with data all of the time. Like that's one of your main resources actually is data, from reservation to, one more time, guest preferences and all the data you have like on the property itself. So yeah, just to react. But thank you for providing me the mic.
Yeah, I love the perspective. That's awesome. And I've worked with projects and organizations and data systems for my whole life. And here's a cool thing that's happening. So this is just predictive to everybody who's listening. Whatever we solve today is like a level 1 problem. We're solving the basics, the obvious, the things that are really, really clear. Oh man, if I could just get this one answer, that would help. Yes. And then that is going to become obvious and is going to be everywhere almost instantly. What happens then is you think, if I could solve the problem about the champagne and they want, well, wait a minute, what if they want this kind of cookie or butter cookies or this other kind of cookie? What if we test 7 or 8 different ways and then have some way to validate their experience and then use that to determine whether or not they are, which type of chocolate to use, where's the best source for that chocolate, how do we need it to be fresher or this or, I mean, you can start going down the rabbit hole of, you know, the precision of the questions becomes more and more because you learn more, right? It's kind of like we're going to go north. And if you look at, you know, any direction is 360 degrees around, right? Are we going exactly 0, 0? Are we going 0, 1 degrees? Are we going to 359 degrees? And then as you get closer, now that from long ways away, they're very, very narrow. But as you get closer, the difference between 359 degrees, 0 degrees, and 1 degree becomes wider the closer you get to your objective. And then you can start breaking those things into smaller and smaller chunks. And the best example of this is, I don't know if everybody's seen this. I'm sure somehow you've seen it. But if you're driving on the freeway or the highway or on a road, and you see an orchard or a vineyard or anything that has got symmetrical rows, and you look to the side, you can see there is a pattern, and that pattern is a solid pattern, and then half a pattern, and then in each side of one, it becomes half and half and half and half and half and half again because of just the way we see things as we go by. But that's the same idea. The big goal is getting to the field, but when you go by the field, you can start seeing, oh, 3 steps away is some other smaller problem that maybe we could fix. If we fix the first 2 problems, we can get to the 3rd or 4th or 5th level problems. And I think I was mentioning earlier today that if you're going to be in programming or problem solving, or maybe I did it last night, but programming, problem solving, or management, you are always looking at 1 or 2 or 3 step problems. Okay, if everybody wants red, how much red do we put in this in the building? If everybody likes chocolate, how much chocolate do we put in the menu? If everybody likes the color black on the website, is it all black with white text? Is it white text with a bunch of big black banners? How much of it do we do? It's not a matter of is it blue or green or red. You eliminate that, and then you start to narrow in on, is it black? How much black? Where does the black go? Is it amplified? Is it colored? Is it a highlight? Is it and so every step you solve allows you to ask more and more questions. Unfortunately, it is an infinite problem because the math goes like this. Every problem you solve creates 1.2 more problems. And so if you solve the first one, you end up with, you solve the first 10 problems, you end up with 12 more. You solve the next problem, you end up with 1.5 more. And so every time you solve a problem, you get more and more and more data, allows you to have more and more precision, but you get overwhelmed by the narrowness and the niche of those questions. And so AI is really good at, one of the things you should consider doing, everyone, is saying, I'm solving this problem. What should I eliminate? And have it in the, okay, cool, great. Don't think about any of those other things. Just think about this one thing. Now, when we're in this one thing, when you solve that problem, it's going to create more questions. What of those questions can I eliminate? And so if you can constantly think of solving a problem by solving the first step and then eliminating all the other things so that you can more narrowly close down to, I'm going to 0, 0 on the chart, not 359 degrees, not 0, 1 degrees, but 0, 0 or 360, depending on your compass and where you come from. I'm going to 0, 0. And every time I move forward, I get closer, but I might be slightly deflected from that. So I readjust to 0, 0, and I readjust to 0, 0, and I eliminate. I'm not going to 359. I'm not going to 1. I'm going to 0, 0, 0, right? So that's that. I thank you, Jonathan, for bringing up that idea. And I want everyone to try to incorporate that into your work, into your deliveries, and into your things. The more precise we can be, the better job we can do.
Absolutely. And you know, one thing, if you give somebody the same tools and the same materials, they're not going to come up with the same output. And Jonathan, what you're doing is exceptional in terms of your creativity with it. And I think that everybody needs to really pay attention to what they're doing with these tools and look around and see and realize, like Jonathan, I think you're off the charts, and there's going to be fewer people are creative and understand how to make applications out of these tools or things that are really, you know, important, you know, fix the bottom line, what have you. So you need to recognize that and then be the leader of that in the industry or what have you. But not everybody comes up with the same conclusion when they're given the same tool, and AI is a tool. Jeff,
Yeah, hey, one more quick thing before we go, Jeff. I came up with a great analogy of how AI works and how you can explain it to everyone. Okay, so here's the analogy. If you give everyone you know, or let's say your family, you give them a piece of paper and a pencil and say, draw a picture of the sun, and then close it up. Okay, here's what's true. Every single one of those pictures, we will all recognize as the sun, but every single one of those pictures is going to be different. They are not going to be exactly the same with a circle in the top right corner with a little house and a grass and a cow. They're not going to be that. They're going to be whatever their imagination is. And what you need to do is remember that when you ask the LLM for the sun, you may get any one of those pictures and they're still the sun, but it may not be according to what your expectation is. And so you just need to remember that's the kind of thing we're looking at. And so asking better questions gives you answers that are closer to your expectation, but don't believe that your expectation is perfect. Your expectation is just what you believe. It may not be the truth. It may not even be entirely right. It may just be what your expectation is. And so when you ask an unbiased source, like an LLM, draw me a picture of the sun, you know it's going to be a picture where you're going to recognize it's the sun, but it may not be what you would have drawn. And so just remember that that gap is okay. That gap is normal. That gap is understandable. That's why when I say something, it's different than the way John would say it, or the way Jonathan would say it, or Yvonne, or Giancarlo, or Hoops, or Dan, or whoever's on the call, we all are going to take in the input, to John's point, and we're going to create an output. That output is going to be unique to us, and the LLM is going to be unique to them. And if you ask it 3 or 4 different ways, it's going to give you 3 or 4 different answers, all the same, all valid, all answers the question, but not the same letters, not the same number of characters, not the same structure, not the same words in order. It's going to give you some answer that's still true, but not necessarily all exactly the same.
Absolutely. And just some of the things for creativity that are important for people to have attributes and to realize that you have them in yourself, and notice. And so, you know, if you can define something, you can see it in your life. Often people, they just kind of go through in some unconscious gaze. But if you pay attention to your thoughts and then you look for certain things, you can recognize them and then add to them. Curiosity, adaptability, risk tolerance, pattern recognition, persistence, playfulness, vision. The other stuff's kind of silly, but vision's very important as well. But pattern recognition and vision, and then putting pieces together to be creative, is, I think, is super important. Jeff, you had your hand up, and if anybody else wants to contribute to the conversation, that would be amazing if any of this rings true in your mind. But Jeff, I saw you had your hand up before.
Well, thanks for that. Actually, I pulled it down because I decided that the question I was going to ask really wasn't going to add to the conversation. And I think I can figure out what I wanted to know with a little bit of experimentation. So I'll pass and let somebody else have a crack.
Sounds good. We do have some news stories, but I don't know about the I mean, it's kind of late to get to the news. Andy, what you said you did a lot of spaces this weekend. What all did you find anything about AI, or did you have anything relating to the show for what you learned during the weekend, or any of that?
There was some discussion in Alex Damsker's space on Sunday about the SEC and how that became. She had a space on Saturday talking about defanging of that with the crypto, and how the AI tools can be utilized in that way. There was a discussion we had on Sunday, which turned into really just an intro session and talking about how people think about wealth. And Sanan was just amazing, talking about how all of those things work to help people just increase their net worth. So Alex Damsker's point is everybody's goal is just to increase their net worth, right? And there's lots of ways to do it, but everybody typically does it wrong. And so she has her perspective, and that's awesome. But if you do follow what she says, you're going to increase your net worth. Sanon's done it multiple times. I didn't even know that, which is amazingly and cool. We talked with Tim and a bunch of folks last evening, and we talked about the mindset of how do you pivot away from being like just a consultant and being into the leadership role? What does a leadership role look like and mean? And how do we manage situations? And I kind of got from the point of there is manipulating people, there is managing people, and then there is, what was the other? I had 3 M's, but basically it was, if you do things specifically for an outcome without caring about the other person, you're just manipulating them. If you're trying to benefit them and you're trying to help them achieve something, you can do the exact same things using the exact same words, and that'll end up being managing and encouraging them to succeed in their own right. But the one thing that resonated with me last evening when I went to bed was that most people have the wrong idea about something, right? If we all had the right idea about how everything worked, we would just do all the right things and not do any of the bad things. But the truth is, we don't really know. And because sometimes the bad things work a little bit, we do them more. Sometimes we don't know that eventually causes it's a short-term positive and a long-term negative. And we don't know that. And if we only take our cues from what we see, what we observe, not from people who've actually done it, there's a big difference. And when we had that discussion, I used the idea that it's very difficult to become a black belt without an instructor. You must have someone show you what it is because they've done it. And I think that with AI and the agents and all of these other things, yes, they can do the tasks and they can take the mundane away of, can you just make sure that I pay this bill on a Thursday, on the 3rd or whatever day it is, right? And can you remind me that I have to make a phone call at noon on Tuesday, right? They're going to be awesome for that. But they're still not going to be able to call John like he and I talk on the weekends and go, dude, we're doing this good. This is not good. We should, okay, yes, you're right. I should do less of that and more of these other things. That human interaction cannot be replaced by AI. It'll be simulated. It'll be synthetic, but we will know. We will know in the back of our mind. It's just like this. When you're trying to date someone and they're not really interested in you, but they're being polite, you're talking to them and you're really trying to create a connection and they're just not having it, right? Oh, that's nice. Sure. Great, whatever. It's not a negative on you. It's just not working. But we know. And even if we may be overcome with emotion at the moment, but later on, when we look back, we're like, oh yeah, I was an idiot when I was talking to that guy. I was trying to sell him this one thing or give him this idea, and he was just like, nope, not interested. Like, it happens all the time. And the sooner you can get to becoming more authentic, then the better job you can do in your life and everything else. And Spaces and social media is amazing for this. And here's why. I don't have to please all of you. If you think I suck, you won't come back. If I'm saying things that don't resonate, you're just like, yeah, I'm not going to go to his space. You won't ask me to be a speaker. When I'm on your space, you won't talk to me. You won't ask me any questions. So if you do that, then I know that something is resonating. As long as I am just my true, honest self, and don't worry about if there's one person, if I'm just me, John and I are chatting, or if it's somebody else listening, as long as you can be the authentic you will succeed, because the more AI takes over manual little kind of rudimentary jobs, the more us humans are going to crave interaction with other people. And the more interaction we have with people will allow us to feel like we're heard and we're alive, because you know the biggest punishment in a jail, right? What's the worst thing that they can do to you in jail? It's not torture, it's solitary confinement. They stick you alone in a room by yourself with no one for whatever period of time it is. And that's the worst thing that you can do to any human. So if you have this desert island fantasy, great, that's awesome for about a day or two or three. And then you'll just crave humans. And you can see that in every single movie about shipwrecks or being lost at sea or whatever. Everyone is constantly craving being around other people. So with that, I'm going to say thanks, because I've got to go back to do some other work. I'm going to give you back the show, and hopefully other people will come up and talk about AI stuff. But that's what I did this weekend. And that's because I'm fascinated by humans and people and how we interact with each other. So thanks again. Talk to you later.
Thank you, Andy. I'm sorry, I was trying to do something here, but that's yeah, there's a lot there. It was interesting. Sierra, I don't know if everybody knows Sierra, but she posted something. I'm going to put on the purple pill. But current capacity for substitution in terms of AI and skill group. And so these are the people whose skill sets are going to be, they believe, are going to be in demand over the coming years, and who are going to lose out the most. And so, you know, some of the skills that surprisingly that are going to lose out would be some of these are kind of odd, but empathy, active listening. I think anybody who uses AI, and Jonathan, I think you agree with that, that if you use it on a regular basis, just to kind of solve your own issues, it's pretty darn good. So teaching, mentoring, coaching, analytical thinking, talent management, leadership, social influence, looks like they're going to get a hit. What is going to be in demand, it says, is artificial intelligence and big data, of course, reading, writing, and mathematics, because you have to be creative with mathematics, marketing and media, and systems thinking. Programming still is going to be needed a lot, and financial management. But I thought that was very interesting. And yeah, the more that, you know, I find that I really get to the fine hairs of prompt engineering, and really make sure that I create repeatable prompts for complex needs, the more I'm realizing that it's a real science, and that those that can do it well are much needed, and you have something that you can deliver to pretty much every business on the planet is going to need it in one way or another, which is super exciting. I'm super excited to see all the familiar faces here today. I feel like I'm on the, you know, late night radio show. But Yvonne's here, and Crystal, and Juan Carlos, Endless, Rahru, of course, Mario, and Jake, and Kate, and Uba, and Dev, and so many, and Sonnen, of course, and Dylan, Jeff, and Jonathan, Brad. I would love it if somebody has a question. I can talk for hours, but I don't know if I'd stay on subject. Sometimes I just like to hear my own voice, but that's me. And I do enjoy doing this. So that's fun. and I have a good time. And it is I've got my good mic here, so you don't have to hear my horrible radio, my horrible I get more of a AM radio, or actually maybe even FM radio voice on here. But AI agents coming to market, that was the point of today's space. And it just seems to me, based on what is going on, is that over the next couple months we are going to see a lot of AI solutions in the marketplace. I already started to see bits of it, but I think that we're going to get a real flood. And it's going to be interesting to see, you know, what the market looks like going forward. By the end of the year, we might have an understanding of how AI is going to integrate into the marketplace. We still don't yet. You know, they're still trying to determine what these LLMs are going to do. And with DeepSeek and such, you know, we find that some of these LLM valuations might not be what they are. I gave the mic to a bunch of people, but I don't see that it's I got to look at my phone, because I have my desktop, it has one view and my phone has another. And I gave the mic to Yvonne and Sonnen, but that doesn't did you guys get it? Can I see some thumbs up or something? Is there a there we might
Yeah,
be oh,
we're up here.
oh, excellent. Yvonne, how are you?
I am amazing. Thank you. How are you? Happy Monday, guys. I always love your spaces. Like so many times, if I'm not able to join, I always listen to the replay because you guys offer so much value with AI. And OMG, like I've been using Grok a lot more, specifically natively on the app, and then also now on grok.com. And I've been loving it for brainstorming with post ideas, you know, and stuff like that. Like, it's really good. Um, I think because it knows the X platform so well and it's integrated within the X platform. Like, if you have an idea for something, like today with some of the space we did today, I was like, oh, you know, so I have this topic. This is what I'm thinking about talking about. This is what it's around and kind of the direction I want to go. And I will ask, you know, give me suggestions for like a good post or for this or that. And I love it because it knows how to write those so much better, in my opinion, than the other AIs. The other AIs feel very robotic and not in tune with a platform like X. And I'm like, wow, this is such a huge advantage. And I love how it has the suggestions that it has that it'll go with it are kind of a no-brainer, right? Like people in sales, you know, like when you're putting certain posts out to do a promotion for a space or what have you, you know, you need to make sure it's engaging, enticing, you need to make sure there's a hook and all these other kind of things. And I love some of the suggestions after it gives you the first output that it offers. You know, do you want to make this more enticing or, you know, entertaining? Like some of the prompts that it has underneath there that are automatically populate after you do that are really cool. And then I also love how then if you want to like dive deeper into the subject matter based on, you know, scientific things or papers or studies that have been out there on the topic, it's so good at doing that, you guys. So anyway, I just thought I would come up and share that.
Yeah, no, I love deep search and that it gives citations, links to where it came up with. It's really a great tool. You know, I was really impressed. I got a tool with uh tech in schools. They have my AI tutor, and there's one uh uh product on there that you can put in a book and it, or put in a prompt, and it'll shoot out multiple LLMs outputs. And I was working on a book, and this is a 67-page output. It's not huge, but the the quality was so noticeable with Claude 3.7 in terms of you know, compelling writing, interest, you know, logic, the whole thing. It did just such a better job. I really believe that Grok, when it comes to output, has a better you know, readable language that is more human. Chat GDP, OpenAI, I'm kind of over it. Not, you know, not so much in term of, as a fan of its work. But yeah, I think that that each one of these are starting to show kind of their own personalities or what have you, or abilities. And so it is definitely noticeable. And thank you,
Yeah,
Yvonne. Or go on.
yeah. No, and I love that you talked about your book because actually I was so curious about that too, right? Because I know that you're working on that. And so you were saying that when you're writing it, that you prefer the outputs that you're getting from Claude versus the other AIs. Like you like the output because I'm working on a book too, and I'm using AI supplementing, right? Like, and sometimes I'll work in one particular AI. And I'm sure many of us do this, right? But then I'll also do the same input or put the same prompt in another one to kind of see, to gauge the difference in the various ones that I use as to how well has the output with the type of thing that I'm looking for. And I always like to compare the differences. So were you saying that when you're with your book that you're writing, that you're liking using the outputs that you're getting from Claude more than any of the others with that?
Yeah, well, I did a one thing where I put in pretty much the completed book, and or was close to it, and I said, flesh this out and finish. I forgot exactly what the prompt was. And Claude was noticeably better. The nice thing about it is it put all the outputs next to each other so I could view them all. But the thing is too, to keep in mind, that was a week ago. I mean, these things are changing so fast that and then I also put it against Grok 3. But yeah, so it's I wouldn't hold on to that outcome for more than 2 weeks.
Dude, oh my God, that is so true, right? Like, God, you're so right. Like, it is. I heard you guys saying that earlier. Like, it is happening at such a rapid pace. And I think, too, like, it depends especially, so those of us have been using them from the beginning. uh, we've seen the progress from how much they've grown and everything. And I think then it kind of just comes down to like your personal preference, like, especially in something like for writing, like a book or something like that, right? I mean, especially if you're going to enter in your own voice, obviously you don't want the AI doing everything. You want to have your own stories, you want to have your own flavor and stuff like that. And I think then you probably just, because how much better can it get? You know what I mean? Like with the structuring and stuff like that. Sorry, Jeff has his hand up.
Jeff, how are you doing? Are you there?
Sorry, I had a customer talking to me. Was that me you were asking about?
Correct. Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, yeah. So on this, just in general on the topic of agents hitting the market, listening to this last bit of conversation had me thinking about something that Sarah Hodgson brings up quite a bit. And, that's the idea of these alternate economies and agents basically becoming personal assistants and what she likes to call a digital twin, where it can do a lot of the things that you would normally be doing, maybe for work or, any number of things. But I think she's dead on the money with that, and that very soon we're going to start seeing these things in a lot of ways. One in particular, as I was just listening to Yvonne talk, is just being able to keep up with the advances. We're almost going to have an agent as a personal assistant helping us to keep up just in the areas where we need it to, and not even in all of the areas where they're going to work. So it's going to be pretty darned amazing and kind of bizarre to see what's coming down the pipe real soon.
Yeah. I mean, I think that the doom and gloom and the whatever. I think it's going to get evened out a bit, although they're like Robert Scoble said. What might happen is there's just going to be gazillion different businesses popping up, and who knows. I mean, I say be positive, but I don't think it'll be too bizarre. I actually, for those people who are not immersed in AI and are working with AI, it's going to be a little bizarre. But for those of us that are immersed in it and are using it on a daily basis and see the changes, and then are doing creative things like Jonathan, or drilling down like myself with the whole looking for repeatable outputs that I can integrate with my work. It's just it's not bizarre at all. I mean, I'm working with clients where I'm showing them what can be done and getting them on board. It takes some prompting, no pun intended, and it does ease them into getting a chat GDP subscription. But I told them, now don't bother, get Claude, because I don't think chat GDP output is as good as Claude. So just getting people kind of on board with baby steps, because the news always runs to things that are kind of outrageous and not necessarily accurate, but provokes a large amount of emotion. And that's, if you're trying to work with somebody, you don't you want something measured and accurate, without a large amount of emotion. That's fear or whatever. Excitement's good emotion, but still, you want the outcomes to be solid and show their benefit. Like, I have another client who's just like, hey, if this happened when I was in my 30s or 20s, I'd be into it, but right now I just don't have the bandwidth for it. And you kind of eventually realize that we just got to wait a bit. And if I feed them a little bit of what I'm doing, but they'll come around when they come around, or if they come around, I don't know. But that's, dealing with people in this, there's so much misinformation, disinformation, noise, what have you, fear, that's part of the what needs to be done. If your profession is business, and you're bring as a consultant or what have you, and you want to bring aboard clients or businesses that that they have a need, but getting them on board, for them to see the vision, them to see the benefit. For a fact that at one point, when they turn around and all their competitors are using it, they're going to run to somebody, saying, let's make this happen yesterday. But until everybody else is doing it, people, they social critique means a lot to the human mind, whatever. And so if nobody's doing it and you're the first one, nobody wants to jump in the water first. But once everybody's in the water, you feel weird if you're not. So that's just how it works. Juan Carlos or Jeff, you got your hand up? Or yes, Jeff, how's it going?
Well, I just after what you were just saying, God, I'm getting an echo now. It just cracked me up because we've been over so much of the stuff that you were just talking about in almost every one of the spaces I've been in today with Christelle and Yvonne and Kate and some others. The fear around AI and the apprehension and getting people on, to get over that and get on board with it. Helping them figuring that out. Just so many of these things. It's like, okay, seems like there's a major theme just running through spaces today. I just thought that was kind of hilarious.
And one of the solutions is, you just don't say it has anything to do with AI. You can just go and say, hey, I can do X, Y, and Z for you, and don't bring up AI. I think that's a good way to solve that problem. Juan Carlos, how are you? Or Jeff, you want to continue? I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Jeff, if you need to.
Jeff, are you?
No, I'm good. I'm good. I just wanted to throw that out there.
I appreciate that. It's in the zeitgeist, obviously.
Yeah, no, so I was gonna hop in because you actually just kind of read my mind there. You don't have to say it's AI, right? Like right now, we're not really thinking like that because it's all brand new. It is AI, right? But like if I give you an Amazon Alexa, which at the time even that was kind of a weird thing, but now it is what it is. But if I give you an Amazon Alexa, I don't have to be like, hey, by the way, this is Bluetooth. It's just we're in the time where it matters right now, but eventually it's just gonna be part of technology. It's going to be part of our society. You know, we're just in a very distinct learning curve. At the end of the day, let's be mindful. I think it was Yvonne was just talking about how we've, you know, a lot of us been using it since it came out. That was literally just, you know, as far as the existing application today, that just came out as far as to the widespread, November 2022, if I'm not mistaken, by ChatGPT. I bought the premium version April 2023, and I've been using it since then, and it's just gotten better and better and better. Now it's kind of at a standstill. I actually do agree that um, it kind of does depend on which model you prefer. To Yvonne's point, some of them do have better strengths than others. It does kind of depend what training data they're based off of, but they are very similar at this point. At any rate, yeah, it's interesting just to see how it all kind of comes down. I love these conversations that we have on spaces and whatnot. And Jeff's right; like I've been in multiple spaces, and it's been a very interesting theme for today. But the reality of the situation is that we still live in a bubble when it comes to this. Like if you go talk to 10 random people in your actual city right now, I guarantee you that nobody in here is going to talk to 50% of those 10 people that actually know what AI is. And if they do, it will not be anywhere near to the depth that we do. And if you can, you're in a very lucky area. That's just where we are right now in the time. I would say that that's for almost any country as well. So we're just really ahead of the curve. You know, everybody in the room, give yourself a pat on the back, because as relevant and as top of mind as these conversations are for us, we are pioneers in the consumer aspect of this. You know, some of us are even producers. Not myself. I'm just a power user. But yeah, those are my thoughts. I did want to touch on one last thing here, in that I myself I've been a power user of ChatGPT since 2023. Definitely accelerated my use in the last year. But I am kind of getting to the point. I think you were just saying this a moment ago, John, where I'm just like, it's kind of getting lackluster. I only stuck with it for the longest time because ChatGPT has this natural memory feature that I think is better than the other ones from my experience. And it already knows so much about me, and I retrain it constantly with the memory, so it helps me with my business. But the other day I was talking with what's his Alex Northstar, or Northstar Brian is his actual handle, and he just has like a 30-page document around his business, and he just feeds that to different models, so he doesn't have to stay, you know, AI loyal. So those are my thoughts. Just wanted to speak on a few different topics there, but yeah, great space, man, always.
Yes, and you bring up a good point. I was resident to leave ChatGDP because of all of the history of the prompts and the communications, but that can muddy the water. And Alex is right. If you do have something that's very geared toward what you want, and you can have multiple categories of the work that you do, and you pare it down, you're going to have a much better output than with that whole gobbledygook of stuff that's with your Chat GDP account that you don't want to part from. And so the nice thing about Chat GDP is you can download your whole history. So and then, you know, try to reorganize it. I just actually did a thing with I use Claude 3.7, and then I use DeepSeek, where I had a whole ridiculous amount of copy that needed to be grouped per topic. And it took a couple attempts where I had, you know, I got a pretty high level tweet prompt that I created, and then the output was kind of gibberish. It didn't really, it got the copy, but it was a mess. So then I had to go back again and use something that was very simplistic, which did it, but it still wasn't quite good. So then I took the high level prompt and tweaked it even more, and actually removed a lot of stuff. So it is funny too, in the sense of simplicity can create better outcomes with some of this prompting. Juan Carlos?
Yeah, no, I agree. I did have a question real fast there. You kind of caught me off guard there. Download your whole data. Where do I go to do that? I've never had the interest to do it, so I didn't know that was an option.
So if you go up to the right-hand top part where I think it says settings, I don't have my ChatGPT account anymore, but I think over there you can put in, or just go to Grok and say, how do I download my ChatGPT history? I use Grok all the time now for specific things on what to do for anything, because it can search the internet and find out the right answers on it. And so it'll tell you exactly what, the steps to get it. But yeah, that's all your history on ChatGPT is all downloadable. And then I highly recommend you take it and start to parse it into groups of topics, and then to go through that, and you can turn that past into a prompt, but that'll take a bit of time, I think. Jeff.
Yeah, I just found it, by the way. It's underneath it is underneath the settings, and then you go to data controls, which is also where you can delete your account. But right up above it, it says export data.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a weakness on their part, in the sense that now everybody can take all that and bring it somewhere else. But I would have felt totally deficient or naked or something if I just lost all of that, because that was 4 or 5 months of like a lot of work. Jeff, what would you like to add? Or Juan, either one. Juan?
Yeah, I didn't know if he had his hand up or anything. No, I mean, if nobody's wanting to, hop up here, I'll just, maybe we can go back and forth for a little bit. But what's your take on right now? So I think Alex Finn, he said yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, I don't know if he actually did it, but that he was considering dropping his ChatGPT Pro subscription, and then he's just going to be using Grok. I feel like we see stuff like that every like 2 weeks, every 30 days, every 45 days. Do you think that shift is going to be consistent when it comes to Chat GPT? I mean, even from your own bias and whatnot, I'm even like, do I really want this? Are we going to be looking silly in 3 months, or what's your opinion there?
I left Chat GDP, and now I have my AI tutor. With the wonderful thing about my AI tutor is you can use any LLM. It's got it's got a lot of cool features within it, and it has little mini AI agents, and it was like $70. Now it's, to get the top of the line, it's like $99, but it's better than buying multiple LLMs. It's a good quality product. But yeah, I left ChatGPT because I couldn't stand the writing. ChatGPT had the most horrible output when it came to writing. It was just like worthless words strung together just to fill up copy. One.
Yeah, no, I do agree with that. So I was looking into Onuro. Yeah, it looks like Onuro today, made by a small developer, but it's basically kind of what you just described there. My question when it comes to those services, basically those aggregators of AI models, my initial concern is, won't you have a restriction on the full use of the features from these specific models, or how do these services actually mitigate that aspect?
I don't know technically. I know that the level of tokens with ChatGPT is kind of off the charts, but you still can run into, but then you can run into where you kind of maybe maxed out on the tokens. But then today I had that problem, but I just started a new chat. So there, it's not perfect, and nothing is,
Is
but
that tokens per account or tokens per model? Sorry to interrupt.
it's tokens uh, per kind of day, or it, it depends. I haven't really totally understood it yet, but whenever I got into a maxed out problem, I was able to fix it. I mean, I took a I they have this one thing where you have the multiple LLMs. So I took, a thing like 67-page book and put it into 5 different LLMs, and then they all shot out the output at once so I could read each one next to each other, and it was able to do that no problem.
Sweet stuff. I see Yvonne has her hand up, so I'm gonna let her go real fast. I'm cutting up some vegetables here for dinner.
Yvonne.
Oh my goodness, I love it. Yeah, like I'm these are some of my favorite spaces to listen to soak in all the AI stuff, because I mean, thankfully with all of us here, because we're all trying so many different things, right? And like you guys mentioned before, you can't, do everything on every single one of them because it's super time consuming. So I love working in the background and stuff, listening to you guys, because I'm just drinking it in with the stuff you're offering. But so I'm curious, and I think you guys may have had a space okay, so today's space is AI agents. Sometimes like all these things start to merge together, right? And like you said, things are happening so fast. I'm like, wait a minute, what space was that? Like I bookmark these spaces sometimes to listen to the replay when I'm not able to join live. But I'm curious, like with AI agents, right? Like with GPT, I did create some of my own GPTs. Like I did that really early on, shortly after they announced that you were able to do that. And one of the GPTs that I created in there was specifically for writing, right? Because I had purchased another product to be able to do that, and they had implemented their own AI into the product, and it was absolute crap. I'm not even kidding. So I was like, you know what? Screw this. I'm going to go create my own. And there's so many GPTs that you can create, and then you can also have them in the store there. And there's a lot of ways to be able to utilize those either for yourself or to be able to share them out with other people. But again, with Grok, I mean, I'd only been using mainly like the in-app version of it previously, and now trying to really push the boundaries and see what Grok 3 is capable of doing, especially with the website now and then the standalone app. And I absolutely freaking love using the standalone app. FYI, for anybody out there, one thing I will tell you that I mean, I guess I understand why, but one of the things that's kind of like a irky thing is that anything that you're using the Grok app for does not populate and sync with the app that you have within your X feed. So, like when I was doing some research this morning in the Grok app, I feel like it's a little bit more detail oriented, but some of the prompts that I had when I went back to look in the history, because I went on x.com and I was doing the space around the topic, and I wanted to mention a couple of things that it had suggested in there around the topic I was discussing. And in the history there, it did not populate that history that I'd used on the Grok app. Thankfully, on grok.com, it does have all of the history. So with those two sync together, but it doesn't sync with the Grok that's within the X app. But one of the things that I was wondering, right? I've been seeing people playing the video games and creating the video games and stuff, and I mean that's all fun and well and good, but I'm all about productivity and making things happen and also like being very efficient and with my business and things like that. And I am. Have you guys tried to create any AI agent or like a GPT kind of thing directly using Grok itself? I mean, I haven't seen a feature to be able to do that. I'm curious if you guys, anybody in here has tried that.
I'll just hop in here real fast. That's actually one of the reasons I am not leaving ChatGPT yet, because to my knowledge, it is the only model where you can consistently fine tune your own GPTs, short of like, doing the investment to like make your own local LLMs. Again, to my knowledge, I'm not aware of a competitor or an alternative to the GPT, creator and then the store, as you mentioned. I've been using it since basically, like I said, I paid for the premium in April, found you could make own. I think I did my first one around August or September of 2023. And then since then, I've done about 6 or 7. And then I religiously use one of them for my clients. Sometimes I give it out to prospects just for them to test it out for a little bit. And then I made one for my wife because she has a lot of, she's just picky with the food and whatnot, nothing against her. It's just, it is what it is. So I made a flashcard GPT for her. So I gave the GPT all of her dietary, preferences, all of her dietary restrictions, this, that, and the other, gave it some other details, and I said, make this into, give me a list of different food options, and then I want you to make this a flashcard scenario. So basically, because it's not an actual app, it was more of like, hey, you pre-prompt it with, are you eating breakfast? Are you eating lunch? Or are you eating dinner? And then based on which one you select, it'll give you, well, today you could probably try XYZ, and I have it pre-prompted with all that stuff. So that is an amazing feature that I have not seen in other places. And then you mentioned another thing that I want to speak on there, if you can remind me, if you remember.
Oh my goodness, yes, that's freaking awesome. Yeah, so I mean, that was awesome. But then also I was wondering like an AI agent, right? Like because people are playing games and stuff like that, which is all well and good, but I don't want to make a game because I feel like that'd be a waste of my time. I want to do something productive and get things done and efficient. So like has anybody tried to create an AI agent directly with with Grok 3?
That's a question for Andy. As far as like apps and stuff like that, just micro SaaS and stuff like that, I'm using Grok and then putting it into like Replit or something like that. And I actually meant, sorry, that's a question for John. I know that he's doing stuff with agents, so I'll pass it over to him right now.
Yeah, I've created workflows through my AI tutor. They have a nice thing that and pretty soon we're going to be able to string the workflows together. Also, I just posted on the Purple Pill, it shows the dashboard for the agent creation tool. And the agent creation tool with them is very cool because you can select any LLM. And so like I will use Perplexity Sonnet reasoning and give it a command like go and search all social media and all of Reddit for these keywords, you know, or for people that are dentists that are talking about their pains and their desires and urgent outcomes. It will come back and give me a full report, and it's really powerful, and it's really neat and exciting. And one thing I was going to say, Juan Carlos, I have a thing where I get all the towns and counties around me where they're looking for bids for various stuff, and there was one for a local thing for marketing and what have you. But yeah, I mean, people who are using these agents in a big way really need to start to explore bids for local town and counties, because they're going to if you can show up and you have a real skill set and toolbox where you can do these things that are needed to efficient level above a lot of other people, I think it's a real important and big opportunity. Juan, then Yvonne, and then Jeff.
Yeah, no, I didn't know about that. Sorry. I would be curious if you have any shareable resources that maybe like nationwide and that I can specify regionally and whatnot. Because I'm in rural America, and I I probably shouldn't call it AI if I want to get a meeting with them here in local government. So it's one of those things where I would be definitely interested to do that, because if there is, I wouldn't even know if I would be strongly surprised to know that they do have a bidding system in this area, but I would be pressed to look into my state one and see, because just where we are, I don't imagine there's a lot of people working on that, so that'd be a cool opportunity.
Yeah, no, they have biddings everywhere. Um, Yvonne, Jeff, and then Dylan.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned that about the local area, because something that you touched on earlier too, like we forget, man, God bless X, because we are like so up to speed, like some of the things that Andy was saying before, right? Like we're so ahead of the curve. Like even Alex Northstar, and he talks about using it over in Europe, and he's trying to push AI because he's all about, he knows the technology and he's worked with it so well and stuff. And he'll go to some of his local towns, and they just don't want to have anything to do with it. I'm like, oh my God, if you guys only knew. Because even like down in Louisiana, where some of my family still lives, and it's not. I'm used to like big cities like Los Angeles and New York and stuff, and revisiting my family down there. I'm like, oh my God, you guys! Like seriously, the times now for people who are proactive and know how to use AI, like and doing that locally with local businesses. I mean, you can be a huge freaking impact if you're your own consulting company or something like that, because even being down there, I see some of the local places and I'm like, oh my God, these people don't even have a Yelp account. You know what I mean? Like they don't even have their business on Yelp, they don't have a website, they don't have anything, and they don't even know that AI is like this whole other level of stuff, and they're not even online. I'm like, oh my God, like how are you like such small potatoes thinking? Like, oh, anyway, it's kind of painful, but I mean, opportunity for somebody. Again, what do they say? Like, what is a lot of things that those of us who are in AI say? We say, don't worry about the AI replacing you. Worry about the person who knows how to use the AI that's going to replace you, because that is exactly where we're at with that stuff.
Yeah, and actually, there was someone on X. There's an agency in the South, the really sharp people, and so I think that people are spread out. They'd be surprised who's around. And if you can get a nice piece of land pretty inexpensive in rural Louisiana, I'm sure that people kind of ran away from the cities for a little bit there, and a lot of people left LA recently as well. So yeah, there are people out there, but yeah, it's small concentrations for sure. Jeff, and then we'll go to Dylan, and then Juan.
Yeah, as far as actually building agents on Grok, Grok 3 is pretty darn new, and I haven't looked at the Grok.com. I've only worked with it through the phone, so I don't believe they have a system out for actually building agents yet. You can pretty well bet that's coming. My guess is if they don't have it on the .com site, that it's only because they're taking their time to make sure it works the way they believe it should, to the best, quality and efficiency for us as users. The thing with AI Tutor, they do have an app builder or an agent builder is one of the features on the premium and premium plus platforms. But as far as I can see, it only links to GPT for now. That will change somewhere in the future, just not exactly sure. But it will be coming, and that I've been having trouble with that one because I can't get my GPT account to cooperate and let me bring in my oh shoot, I missed my turn, and bring in my key for that. So that's causing me a bit of a problem. But from what I've heard others talk about, it's a great setup, and works really, really well. The other thing is, for a lot of the stuff that people have been kind of talking about and asking about, there is a chatbot builder, multi-bot on AI Tutor, and it allows you to use almost any one of the LLM platforms that are out there as its AI core. So you can build chatbots that do a lot of the stuff you're talking about, and that's fully customizable, and you can go in and edit and change and improve as you go along with that. So that's a really useful tool there. And eventually, you got to, I got to believe that platforms like Grok and some of the others are going to see, the demand for that, and they're going to start building their own variations of the same thing.
Absolutely. And right now, Grok has an API, and it's $2 per million tokens for input and $10 per million tokens for output. And yeah, I mean, I've created, with my AI Tutor, it shows exactly how many tokens you use for a prompt or workflow or agent. And 20,000 is a lot, so it's a pretty complex task. So 20,000 out of a million, that's pretty inexpensive. And I just prompted Grok on how to build my own agent, and it gave the whole rundown. And a lot of people are going to start building their own agents. From what I heard, I spoke to a guy this weekend who was on a space, or it was the end of last week, who does a lot of voice AI agents, and he's done them working with 911 and just be on enterprise level. The guy is sharp as can be and has a long history on the internet and everything else, starting with affiliate marketing back in the day, like I started. And he really believes that the future is having your own AI agent that you can train and control for specific tasks. Is a lot more powerful than using these LLM directlies. So Dylan, and then we'll go with Sanan.
Hey, thanks for having me on. As far as the AI agents go, one tool that I've really had my eye on for a while now is called Gumloop, and they seem to be really sort of bringing a lot to the table as far as what you can do with agents compared to a lot of the other platforms, because a lot of them sort of all do the same thing. So something to maybe check out if you don't want to build yours from scratch. But yeah, it seems like a really, really powerful tool. And then, in regards to, you guys were talking about earlier about your GPTs, before I quit OpenAI, I just saved all my prompts from all my GPTs and what various files I had uploaded to them and stuff. And you can recreate those with whatever you want. You can go, I recreated some of them with Claude. You can go, it's pretty simple pretty much just a system prompt and maybe a couple of, you know, files for knowledge base if you need them. So I've been able to recreate a bunch of those because I thought, oh no, I'm going to quit OpenAI. What am I going to do? And then turns out I could just make them better or run them locally or whatever. So if you are going to quit, make sure you download all your, you know, all your GPTs, because I had some really amazing ones I used all the time. And yeah, so there's always that. But one thing I want to bring to the table is like everyone's talking agents, and the thing that I notice with just even AI in general is like people almost don't know what to use it for besides just a couple of things. And that's going to be like the real selling point to the general public is like, you know, more than just writing an email for you or having it, you know, take down some notes for you or whatever, like really showcasing the power of what the agents can do. And right now, I think even the AI community, we're barely seeing what they can do. I think we're just kind of scratching the surface. So I'm excited to see like where people take it in the next year, couple of years, because right now it's like it's kind of hard to market it, right? And like everyone's talking about agents, but I think it's because we're in the AI community. General people, they're not going to worry about agents. It's just going to be built in to their Gmail, or it's going to be built into whatever they're already using. Agents are going to be in Yelp. Agents are going to be in all these services. No layman people are going to think about agents. It's just a tool of the trade, right? So I think that anyhow, that's where I see it going, and I think that learning how to use agents is really cool. And there's especially like a simple thing. If you want to make money making agents, start aggregating, make websites that aggregate content that no one's aggregating, and like boom, right there's, you know, a way to make money. So anyhow, I just want to say that. And also, John, I saw we linked up on LinkedIn, and I saw that we were in the same neck of the woods. I was out where you were for like over a decade. So funny how that works.
Cool beans. Yeah, and Dylan, thank you for what you're saying. I'm really interested in what you do moving forward. And I found that I started going towards my family, the inner circle, their problems. And so I was like, oh, I could do this and do that. And I put them on an app, and the app broke after a real short period of time. So I got to go and re-get that thing up in Vercel, but it'll be fun to see how family and friends use these things first, and see if I'm onto something with some of the ideas I had. Sonnen, how are you?
Hey John, how you doing? Andy, Giancarlo, Brad, Alex, Zoo, Ru, Mario, and everybody else. I don't know. Cool, fantastic conversation. I love it, love it, love it. Like it literally put me to some question for myself, and I also want to ask entire space. Regarding the AI you use, if it's measurable, how would you rate the efficiency compared to the pre-AI, or let's say soft AI, or actual AI right now, which is like in loop for 2 years? Let's say previously we used the Grammarly, and it took us, let's say, out of 8 hours, 7 hours to go through the copy. Now we use Gemini, and it decreased, let's say, hours for 2 hours. So efficiency can be measured in a matter of time. And the second part that caught my attention while listening, if we can transfer this into the monetary value, how much actually we increase in revenue through delivering with an AI, like in percentage, 5, 10, 50, 100%, and so on. Have you guys thought of it?
Actually, yes. So I went down the rabbit hole for the legal industry in the United States. It's second only to the medical industry. The medical industry is about $1 trillion a year. The legal industry is about $480 billion. The problem with the legal industry is pretty much 50% of every dollar comes in has to be paid for fixed costs. And that's probably the same for most every business. Fixed costs being your rent, your utilities, the the people at the front desk, and all these other things. and so I drilled down on what efficiencies could be done if you were able to use agents and automate uh, all the majority of the tasks involved, except for the very specific things that are done by the attorneys, even though a lot of that can also be done through document analysis and also analyzing past cases to pull out, even with sales, take an AI bot and say, well, oh, you have this problem, we've done this 15 times and these were the outcomes, what have you. So it looks for what I gained, but I did not I did not have anybody verifying it, but it looks like 20-30% savings, maybe. Could be more, but I think basically with the law industry, what I believe is you could pare down, get rid of the law office. You have 1-2 people in at home managing the agents and in about outbound calls, because things that have high stakes at this point, I believe you have a different experience on it, or maybe my thoughts are are supported by what your experiences are. High stakes things need human overview still. And so the high stakes is getting clients. You don't get clients, you're toast. High stakes is client service, customer service, and making sure that things are followed up. Hey, you're going to the court this date, make sure you got the camera thing, bring everything, blah blah blah. The humans got to show up, the attorney's got to show up at court, as well as the customer has to show up at court. But you could change the whole idea of law firms where they get rid of all that money for the for the clients that don't need to show up, but maybe you have one just out of wildness for the high end clients, that like you can look at it differently as opposed to the old paradigm. Sonnen?
Oh, love it. So, I mean, except based on assumption for the industry, I meant more like for you, for us. Like if you have seen improvement in your day-to-day work or week or month. I mean, for everybody. And then how it's transferred this efficiency into the monetary value, let's say increase or decreasing the cost and so on. I mean, assumptions, don't take me wrong. We don't need an AI to predict or see stuff in any industry. We can literally do it in a spreadsheet by pulling the data. And that's something that is future coming. I'm more interested, like listening to all of you guys. Like it's really, really fascinating. I'll ask myself, that's why I'm asking, like, okay, how much time I've saved, how much money I've earned more, let's say in percentage, and if not, how much in cost savings I gained.
Juan, do you want to answer that? I mean, I don't,
Yeah.
I haven't been in the, I can't observe myself at this point yet. I'd have to look at it a little bit further out.
So I've got just a personal story around it, and then a speculation around it. So the personal story is that sorry, speculation was the wrong word. Let me start with that one. Actually, I would say that it's different whether or not you're already a seasoned professional at what you do, and whether you're not, right? So if you're seasoned, then it's probably going to save you a lot of time. If you're unseasoned, there's almost like some kind of learning curve where it might actually waste your time because you don't even know what to ask. You don't, it's going to give you some hallucinations. You're going to end up telling your client, because it's your first client, some weird shit that the AI told you, and your client's going to be like, wow, I'm never talking to you again. So that would be my clarification on that side of things. But for seasoned individuals, I would say for myself, what I used to accomplish in, I mean, I hate to exaggerate because it really also comes down to I am motivated to tackle more. So there's kind of a compound interest here, if you will. But I would honestly say that what I used to accomplish, and let's call it a quarter, and in 3 months, what I used to accomplish in 3 months, and this is based off of the last 10 years that I've been managing things for myself, I would say that now I am doing what I could do in 3 months. Man, it's a stretch to even say 5 weeks. And that's not, like I said, it comes down to I'm doing more and more and more because I'm like, wow, I can do so much more now. So if I had to put a percentage on it, I mean, just by the math right there, right? We're talking about a 200% increase in productivity if I'm doing my math right. So as far as monetarily, I was actually struggling a little bit around like 2021 with a few different things. Sorry, my sinuses are kind of messing up. I just cut up some onions, but um, around 2021 I was kind of struggling. I was also still like knee deep in the marketing world, because that's where my primary background is. And it was just having a hard time. But ever since I switched to, focusing more on clarity for founders, and whatever it is, just clarity in your business, that's my new business model. And that started off a little bit rocky because I was kind of confused with myself, and I was trying to figure out like how to make this actually work. Once I got that going, things were going well. I was making about 50% of what I was used to, and that's okay. And then once I actually got a grasp over AI in the last like 6 months, I would say is like where I'm like at a really proficient level as a consumer. I would say that my business is actually seeing probably a 3x return in terms of the actual monetary side of things. Now that's both on the increase in my ability to acquire clients, whether that's the efficiency of the onboarding or the efficiency of the discovery calls, whatever. And then I'm also just able to retain clients a little bit longer because I'm now, instead of saying, oh, well, that was the end of our 2-month agreement. Thank you so much for your time. I hope that you have a good life. You keep me in your mind. Let me know if you have anybody that needs help. Now I'm like, wow, that was a fantastic 2 months that we just had. Over the last 2 months, I've been talking with AI on how to, fix your new problem that I've helped you uncover, right? You solve a client's first problem, their level 1 problem, then you have their level 2 problem that they realize later on, and then you can help them with that too, especially if you've had a good relationship. So on that side of things, it's just helped out tremendously. So that was kind of a lot, so I'll leave it there.
No, that's what's. Oh, sorry, John.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
That was fantastic. One more question. How you see it being transferred? Lowering or decreasing the hours, let's say because of the efficiency, or enabling you to do more hours? Because if you are in a growth potential of 3x, it means that you are able to employ new people or deploy more sophisticated agents, which gives you immediately 7x potential on this tree. How is this transferred? Like increasing more hours or decreasing the actual hours you worked on?
I'll just answer real fast and then maybe pass it to John because he works with the workflows a little bit. I don't work with those agentic workflows. I have a lot of automated processes that I more so. I use the word automated because I've been automating my business since like 2012, but it's more like templated workflows, like whatever the scenario X is, like this is what I'm doing for it. SOPs basically that I follow to a T. To your question, because I'm not knowledgeable in agentic stuff, I have not gone down that route yet. But I am aware that it's a concept. So a twofold answer is that in the beginning, for me, as things progress and as I get further and further into this, it's a two factor. I'm gonna spend less time working on the things that used to take me a little bit more time. Those are, the low hanging fruit. And I'm going to spend more time on the stuff that actually moves the needle. So I am going to see an uptick on time spent, but the impact yielded will also see an uptick. And I'm happy with that for the interim until I reach a point in my business and in my confidence with the field and the evolution of things to where I guess to make it real honest, I don't know if I want to hire anybody because sounds like I can just talk to John about creating an agent or talk to Umesh about, doing this or, talk with North Star Brian about doing that. So, I'm kind of on the fence about what roles I will be hiring, at least for my business model. So that's my answer.
Son, you have anything follow up on that or?
No, this is amazing. If anybody else wants to answer, we'd love to hear it. Like I'm really curious. Anything for myself.
I have a big project, and so I'm taking this time while I do the project to build workflows and agents that do each part of the project. So I will have more of an agentic thing moving forward, or agentic process, and then I can just focus on sales as well as, it seems to me that my ability to grasp all this and to really effectively use these tools now has come into fruition, whereas I never had built an agent back in December, or even not until the end of January. So it's a pretty short period of time on my time frame. So in the process of doing, I'm also creating, so I don't really have the machine going yet to see actually what the savings are and the abilities. But one thing that's very exciting is basically because of the relationships I'm building here, I'm now starting to see other opportunities that I couldn't, that I don't think that I would have been appropriate for, that that I know what I can do. I know what Juan can do. You know, I know what other people here can do, and can start to say, hey, this looks like something interesting, and see where we'll go with that. I don't know if that was helpful. Anybody else? Dylan, I don't know. Have you seen what your what kind of savings that you're getting on time, as well as Brad or Jason? Anyone else here, or Jonathan even?
I want to kindly mention that Yvonne did have her hand up. I don't know if she put it down on purpose.
Yvonne, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I've got my phone and I've got my desktop, and my desktop doesn't show the hands and the phone does. I apologize.
No, no worries, no worries. Thanks, Dylan. Actually, funny enough, because I was gonna touch on what you had mentioned earlier, which I thought was wow, something that you said specifically. But in regards to time frame, I love that you guys are even discussing this, right? Because as business owners or as consultants or coaches, you know, what have you, is that'll be a valuable metric to be able to measure, to be able to pitch, you know, future business opportunities to businesses or other customer bases that you want to be able to work with, if you're able to determine some of those ROIs, if those people don't already have their own AIs integrated within some of the stuff that they're doing. No question about it, right? Because a lot of this is just bringing awareness to a lot of these things, like something that you mentioned earlier. I feel like this is like a badass AI mastermind session right now, which is fire. I'm so going to listen to the replay. Um, but something that you had said earlier, Dylan, that I love that you shared, because it's so true, right? Like all of us are diving in, learning how to create our own AI agents, our GPTs, and things like that. But the everyday average user, which is probably 90% to 95% of the population, right, aren't trying to learn how to do those particular kind of things. They're going to end up going to like Google or their Gmail or something like that, and have that already integrated within their Gmail versus them having to create their own. But something that you sparked in me that I thought about in regards to that is that, however, other companies, the companies, whether they're old or new or what have you, having someone who knows how to build those AI agents, so that they can integrate that within their own native website, as we're moving into this next level of having an AI directly built into their website, I think is going to be absolutely vital. And I don't know that a lot of people outside of those of us like that are talking about this and actually building our own are really thinking about that. And of course, like some of the big companies are for sure, right? But I'm just thinking, like, going back to the whole, you know, everyday average company that might not be that deep into this stuff or have those direct connections because they're just, you know, brick and mortar online type of situation or something. But or even a service provider online, because that's something that I thought about that you sparked in me, is with one of my companies that I'm working with, that is my own company, is having on my website, where I have my own specific AI agents directly integrated within the website. So that will be a whole nother customer service user experience that other people who might be providing a similar service to mine won't have, and you can really outcompete your competition in that regard. And I just thought that was fire.
Absolutely. And yeah, I think that the everybody's starting to put these applications within their systems. It is starting. We don't see all of it, but yeah, for various, but it's not uniform at all at this point. Um, Shannon, and then Sonnen, or Sonnen and Shannon. I did not see you first. And also, I know Tech in Schools is here. I'd love to hear from you on this subject, how you're how the AI is starting to improve your workflow and save you time, and if you could put a monetary value on it. But Shannon, then Sonnen.
Hey everybody, I hope you guys are well. Happy. Oh no, it's not even noon anymore. It's already 2 o'clock. Oh my gosh. Uh, that's how fast it goes. Oh my gosh. The day is almost over. I have so much work. So regarding AI saving time, so my experience is the following, and maybe it's a me problem. I do not see it saving time for me, but I must say that I have 10 freaking things going on at once. That's the thing. So as AI came along, I thought to myself, why not do this and do this and do that and that? Oh, you can do that too. So I'm kind of I have a lot on my plate. AI is helping me, and that's the beauty. But I'm not saving time. And I remember I watched this interview with Jensen Huang from NVIDIA, and he said clearly that AI is going to make us more busier than ever. Because I truly believe that most of us have new ideas, right? With this new evolving landscape, right? We all have new ideas. We want to do new stuff and build shit and do all kinds of crazy things. That's kind of where I stand. I can't put value or anything on what I'm doing. All I have to say now that I'm really enjoying this world the way it is right now. I am so happy that I get to experience all of this shit. This was the best freaking idea for me to come on X a year ago and be part of this, or almost 2 years. It's fascinating. My head is spinning. I don't even know. I think a new world is happening. You know what I mean? Forget the old world, all the traditional stuff that we did. It's really crazy. There are so many new ideas coming to my head, and I only have two hands. I want to say one thing. I'm not sure. I think it was Sannon that said it. For me, I would, if I had the money, I saved a lot of money with AI because of the businesses that I have, probably would have costed me way more money, way more time, way more people. But I want to be honest, I would definitely hire people. Now is the right moment for me to hire humans that are creatives, that are have my mindset, that might have a different perspective to help me. But I would never rely fully on AI. Now is the time to find creative, like-minded people that might be a little bit different than you, that can take your business, give it a different angle and spread. I would definitely, if I had the money, I would hire two people today. I would do that right away.
That's such a great perspective, and I love how you framed it. Build shit. I just I love that. And yeah, it's managing people to for outcomes is a skill in itself. And if you got good people, that's a huge plus. Brad, and then Juan.
Hey John, I don't know if AI's really saved me time because I'm kind of like working the same hours, but it's definitely upped my productivity. When GitHub Copilot came out, which was just the original line completion tool in like an IDE like VS Code, where you would start writing something and it would just finish the line of code. That upped my productivity like 3 or 4x, just that. Like I remember I was in grad school for computer science, and I was in a group project, and this tool came out, and basically I had like 3 times more commits to this group project than like the next best person. um so that just shows like it really ups the productivity. But since then, I've used other tools like Cursor. Cursor Chat's been a game changer. The agents on Cursor have also been a game changer. So I'd say my productivity is like 10x what it was. Like I was building this new SaaS recently, and what took me just a few weeks would have taken me months before to build. So I think it's definitely like 10x my productivity.
And Brad, have you used it to get clients, or do you have a headhunter working for you, or how is that working? Like, I'd imagine if your productivities come up, you need to either get new clients or you have one client that needs a lot of work.
I have different people who like reach out to me, but I haven't really used it for like sales much. So
So are you doing more volume?
yes, yeah.
Excellent. Juan and then Dylan, and just a housekeeping thing. Please follow myself, follow the speakers here, share and post the space. Also, I do put my time into this and I really care about it. If you want to buy me lunch or a cup of coffee, you can go to my account and click on AI John Allen. There's a Zelle there. I like Zelle because it's fast and quick, and you can buy me a cup of coffee or buy me lunch. I think I'm doing good work here and I'm providing some value. So Juan and then Dylan, thank you. I appreciate all the kindness
Just
out here.
giving you some teas in there. You definitely do some great work, man. In fact, I'll be clicking on that and I'll be buying you some lunch. So, um, and also, Brad, I was giving you a bit of a hard time too when you said that you don't use it for sales yet. That's why I threw the thumbs down on that. I'm happy to talk with you about that. Justin's happy to talk with you about that. Justin R. French, the Revenue Ronin. It's just it makes it a whole lot easier. So, if you're not already using it, we can have a quick phone call and just give you like 5 practical ways on how you can use it in a way that doesn't take up more time from your day, right? Um, the other thing I wanted to touch on what Sharon said because great concepts. Um, I love that you said you don't know if it's saving you any time because it's just giving you all these different ideas and you're doing more and more stuff. I love that. One funny thing I wanted to ask you, just as a rhetorical comment, is is that the AI not saving you time, or is that just you being able to make more time, right? So that's kind of just the way that I see it. But I agree that when it comes to hiring people, yeah, you definitely want to focus on hiring the creative people, and I like the way that you put that. Where if anything, now is the time to secure those people on your team. You want to find the people that you want to connect with and share your vision with, and then build the future with together. Um, I look at that just a little bit differently in the sense where like I'm kind of just when I say that I don't know if I will be hiring people for my business model, like short of like an executive assistant, maybe one like VA. Um, I would rather work with people and treat them as partners and collaborators, and we just share equity on different projects rather than I'm hiring people. So even when it comes to like somebody who's like a web developer, I'm of the mind where I'm happy to partner up with a web developer if it's somebody who obviously is leveraging AI, so they're streamlining their workflow, but it just takes all of that away from me, and we get to just kind of work together on the vision. So, and that's just the way that I see it. I wouldn't want to employ somebody um, and basically like have me be their boss when it's like you have AI, like you have all these tools. I guess that's kind of where my mind goes with these things. Like I don't really want to be managing anybody because we're kind of getting past that in my opinion, at least for kind of the work ethic that I have and the work ethic that I like to see in the people that I'm around. So um, yeah, no, I agree with everything you were saying there, but it is just a concept for me where it's like I just want to focus on the people like AI John. Like I don't want to hire him, but like yeah, of course, later on in the future, I want to be like, hey man, I know that you were working with this lawyer over here. I found this practice; they really need some help. The practice, the actual lawyer who owns the practice, and all the people who are doing the work for him, actually they're just utilizing his name because that happens a lot. He's unclear about things, but his employees are using AI, and they're trying to get him to use it. So I go to John and I'm like, hey man, I helped this guy with clarity on whatever he was doing, and now he feels more confident to establish this. And now so John can come in and actually solidify a way different agreement that I wasn't even first of all interested in supplying, nor even capable, right? Like maybe I could go to my chat GPT and be like, hey, how can I help this person build AI workflows, and then hit them up next month. But I'd rather talk to John and we split the difference. So that's just the way that I look at those things.
Yeah, I feel you totally on that one, because it feels like that yeah, there might be, because of this new tool X and with AI and the combination thereof and people from all over the world, like with shared interests and values, building in public so people can show and kind of verify what's going on with them. It does create these new opportunities, and I don't think we're there before. And I think it's really awesome that you're seeing that. We go to Dylan, then Brad, then Sanan, then Sharon. If I'm off at all, please somebody let me know.
Yeah, so I definitely agree with you guys in regards to, like, I don't know, I guess when it comes to AI, in a lot of ways, it's made me work faster, right? Like, especially like when I was doing video production for a very fast-paced like YouTube channel where we're just like just one next, one video to the next. I started making AI tools that can help me do things really fast. Like, for instance, I made a plugin that would just automatically bleep any curse word in a video file just autonomously with AI, because that would save me an hour of work or whatever, right? Start finding little things like that. But I will say the amount of time that AI has really saved me is still fairly minimal, because we're still finding the use cases for it, right? Especially depending on like what area of work you do, right? But I found like lately, now that I've been working on my own projects, launching my own app. Again, I'm not a coder. I was able to use AI to create this app, but would I say I'm saving time? I don't know, because I don't know what I'm doing. But at the same time, I would have never been able to get as far as I got without AI, right? Like, I was able to code an entire iPhone app with just nothing but AI and cursor. And had I not had that, I wouldn't have been able to. So it's sort of give and take, but it's still a total time suck for me. Like, I have to set, limits of like, okay, I'm not going to, I have to stop working on this. I need to go to sleep. I need to, etc. Otherwise, I feel AI can just suck up all your time. Usually for me, it's like late at night. It's like, well, I'll just tweak it a little bit more. I'll just tweak it a little bit more. I'm just going to keep, well, because it's like the project's never done, right? So yeah, I don't know. I definitely feel both sides of it, for sure.
Yeah, and I think that goes to what Juan was saying in terms of, those that have something that they've been doing for a long period of time. They have their own proprietary systems and everything. That can be converted to something very quick and very fast. But those that are exploring and yeah, I lots of us have both of those things that are going on. Shannon, and then Sharon, and then Brad. I'm sorry, Shannon, then Sharon and Jason.
Hey, if guys want to share more answers and stuff, please go ahead. I will go last.
I'm not sure who was next, John.
Sharon, and then Jason, and please.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I just wanted to say something earlier to Jan Carlos. Is that your name?
John
So-
Carlos, Juan Carlos, Jan Carlos. I answer
Okay,
to
you
all of them
take
as
it
long as
all.
it's one of
Okay, I
those.
love
Yeah,
it.
just
Oh,
one of
it's
those
so
three.
funny. One of my friends used to call me Rachel. My name is Sharon. Rachel. How off can you be? But I'm like, okay, I'll be your Rachel. It's funny.
I got called
Well-
Jack one time, so I understand.
Yeah. No, but what you said is really cool. No, awesome. I actually, it doesn't matter if collaboration or hiring, or so I really, we're moving into a new age. Fuck hiring too. But the thing is that I just wanted to point out humans are now even I have a feeling that it's going to get more interesting now how humans do stuff together. I have for me, it's just now with AI, I've been using AI for 2 years now. And I have a couple of agents. I have nothing automated yet, but that's going to be the next step. But still, I need humans more than ever. I want to work with humans more than ever. That's basically all I wanted to point out, because a lot of people was like, oh, I'm going to be replaced and I have no job anymore. I have nothing to do. You guys, you can call me. I will definitely have something for you to do. No, it's just important to understand that humans are going to evolve, and it's going to be very, very fun. It's going to be bumpy though. because everybody has to start. Because I wanted to ask you guys, so what do you think about, I guess that if I were to work with somebody, I would want that person to be involved with AI. That's a thing now, right? So everybody that is not doing anything with AI, that might be a problem for me. So I think our job is that maybe to get as many people on board as possible, because that's the only thing that's really going to, save us somehow, I would say. All the fear around job displacement and everything. I think we do have to, since we know how to use it, we need to spread more. That's why, Alisher and I, we do courses. We do every Friday, we do AI builders. John and I, we hang out with the ITT Wednesdays. They do every Wednesday. They teach us how to do awesome stuff with AI. And it's all profitable businesses that you can establish. Of course, being an entrepreneur, a business, it is, it's a little bit risky. It's fun. It's crazy. It's scary, but it's awesome. And you could even start something as a side hustle. I just want to point that out there. So if you haven't start to dabble in AI, now is your time. It's going to be very important, because in a year from now, I'm probably not going to want to work with anybody that has absolutely no clue how to use AI unless I have time to take in somebody and teach the person. But you have to be willing, at least. Thank you.
Sharon, that's a great point. I think that, I mean, if somebody's really sharp and ambitious and they show up and you got to teach yourself, but we all know that there's a bit of a learning curve. It takes
I think you're rugging, John. It might be me.
So are you paying more for people who have AI experience, or are you paying them the same if they don't have AI experience? How does that work?
I mean, even money is going to be a strange thing now too, right? I mean, everything is going to change people. I do not know how a salary is going to look in the future. I can't really say. So more or less, I mean, this is a new world. So I have to see. I can't say, oh, I'm going to pay that person more. I think it's our responsibility, every person that has grown. If you're not a 3-year-old, okay, leave the 3-year-olds alone. They can be babies. They can hang out. They don't have to work or so. But for all of us grown-ups, we do have a responsibility. We need to adapt. And for the people that don't do that, they're going to have an issue, but it's a them problem, right? That's just a thing. We're moving. The only constant in life is change, right? So that's just something to keep in mind. And then we'll see how much salary someone needs. I would probably not underpay someone, for sure not. I'm not an evil person.
Because you do that, you get that opportunity. Because now I produce so much faster. I'm a graphic artist. I use Photoshop. I use a digital tablet. It would take me like 20 hours to probably do the image that's inside of my PFP right now. But with AI, I can spin this thing up in 2 minutes, right? So now I go back to the employer and I'm like, I'm done. He just hired me, paid me. I'll go back to him. I'm done. He's like, man, I paid you $15,000. You finished in 2 minutes.
Absolutely. And I think one other thing is, like, pretty soon you're going to be able to manipulate things through computers, and you're not going to need an interface like a node in your head, because they can read the brainwaves so well exteriorly. So you could have situations where young people, you're saying that 3-year-olds shouldn't work, but it'll be interesting when the mind can actually direct computer systems to do things. It's going to open up a lot of stuff, and I think that's going to happen a lot sooner than anyone thinks. So we'll go with Jason, then Sanan, and then Juan.
Mic check. I'm doing it on PC, so I'm just double checking.
It sounds perfect.
Okay. Yep. So I think right now I am so reliant on AI. When it's missing, I completely kind of like it's like when you get used to 2 monitors and then you have to spend some time on one. You kind of feel like you're really limited. So it's ingrained with me like that. So startup wise, I use it for business planning. So I have one custom chat GPT that serves as like a virtual board, and I'll propose ideas to it and kind of do idea generation and validation and things like that. So some things aren't necessarily a time save, but then on the coding side, it is 100%. I don't know. I think I've increased by 30 to 40% on coding stuff just because a lot of times you don't have to go, like used to, we had to go to Stack Overflow and dig through forums, and sometimes it would be buried in a comment that is the real answer. Little things like that. And now you can copy and paste the issues into the chat, and normally it gives a pretty good response. So that is huge for debugging. And then also, now I don't really do any real big functional programming anymore. So I'll describe what I want to get in the function, and I'll piece together the functions kind of how I want the code to look. So I would say that having the background of actually having to dig into development and using it to develop has made it stronger. But I do see a lot of junk code out there because someone has only used AI to generate it. So it's like this new wave of developers, like they're building cool stuff, but then some of the like the long-term maintainability things people are missing a little bit. So we're going to have this era of really cool stuff that is built like spaghetti. So yeah, so and yeah, I'll land the plane there, but I use it for like generating documents, and sometimes if I don't want to write an email, I just describe what I want and have it to write it. So it's definitely, I would say, productivity wise, I'm through the roof with it, and then when it is not there, I feel like I'm really struggling. So yep.
And so what is that? What is the end result that you're getting? You need more clients, or you're doing more for the clients, or how does that practically look in your business?
I do a lot more of the things I would avoid doing because I just have a tool that helps me with it. So I would say that's a big thing. And then also, I don't need to hire as many people because I made sure right now I've got like a shared account for Chat GPT for the developers I hire. And then I have my private one. So it's probably saved me 1 or 2 developers worth of productivity getting everyone on board with it, but I still haven't fully convinced everyone to use it. So it's kind of like 50-50, but I don't hire anyone now without it, like especially as a coder that don't mention it in the interview. Like if they're afraid to mention it, that's one thing. But if I'll kind of specifically ask, but if they don't, then I won't hire anyone anymore without it.
Yeah, and just a footnote is that Grok 3, if you need to find something on, like, go to Reddit and give me the answer to this, or give me the answer and give me citations, it's for me, it's the fastest, even better than Perplexity recently. But let's go to Sana, if you have any follow-up questions to Jason, or then we'll go Dylan and then Juan.
Yeah, I just pulled information for us. Okay, my situation is completely different than yours, guys. My 8-hour work fits into 2 hours of agents, and our saving is around 26% month to month, which is extremely important for the customer acquisition cost, which directly impacts the lifetime value and ratio of it and operational cost. But I want to point out something else. We were talking too much here about X, and we are ahead of curve. We all showed now with the answers that ahead of curve means nothing. John Carlos already have developed business. He knows how to prompt, what to prompt, where to gain the advantage, and so on. John is building, so he's playing around. Sharon, I think, shared that she would like the humans and everything and so on. So being ahead of curve means nothing, literally nothing. It's just being obsessed with something and have perspective, which limits you from perception. That's something I mentioned yesterday on one space. Andy was there. What are we building? Are we building an asset or business? There are huge differences. And the example regarding this is Estonia. Estonia has faster internet than US. Estonia is the most digitalized country on the planet Earth, in the entire universe. I forgot which year they wanted to introduce the digital money, digital monetary system, but they didn't, just because 1% of people who were not able to send SMS message, to write the text and send it. Except tech, there are many other industries, like compared to us and what we are sharing about our businesses, one coffee shop makes pretty much 20 to 30% more than most of the people in this room. Why coffee shop is like crap compared to the tech? Why we all should be into the tech? Is tech going to give us, I don't know, any sort of advantage over traditional businesses? I don't think so at all. So my belief is that AI is taking more time because of the learning curve, and we are solving it. But the problem after that is that we are too technical to non-technical people, that we are creating the friction instead of us making them to sort of say mass adoption. I think it's good. I think agents are fantastic. It will improve so many processes and operational elements. But let's not fool ourselves. We are not ahead of curve of anyone who is not even in touch with an AI. Why the tribes in the jungles are living a lower life than we are? I don't think so. And something that I read recently about the tribe in a Brazilian jungle, they don't have numbers at all. They don't have numbers at all. They are talking in a little more, and a lot. So let's keep building. Let's not keep fooling ourselves. Amazing conversation. Love your all answers. Everything. I'm like 100% with you. Like I said, my situation is like way much different. We now have 19 developers who are developing this shit. We laid off the entire marketing department. Like our agents are doing everything. So that's the different scope. And my whole point is, are we using this AI to waste time and think we are productive, or we are making more time, or we are making less time? Even my agent is doing 2 hours, my 8 hours in 2 hours. I'm still working 15, 16 hours a day. That's literally who I am. But the concept is, what is the actual value of anything of tech that we are using, not only the AI? Hey, thanks everyone. This was fantastic, amazing. I love it.
Sonny, mind if I ask a couple follow-ups?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you understand things on a different level than myself in terms of assets or business. I am always like, oh, well, AI is going to create revenue generation machines eventually, once they completely or go as far as possible within a business, and the business generates revenue over time consistently, and these workflows or agents are fully saturated within the systems of the business. Now, we had a conversation the other day where boring businesses generate sick amounts of money. So where are you on we're having this conversation here. There's a lot of us who are involved in this and are trying to get better and master these new tools. And where do you think the effort and energy gets the greatest return, just on a monetary level?
Oh, fantastic. Thank you for that, John. And sorry for guys, Dylan, Hoops, and John. I will just jump in quickly. I'm having very sort of limited mindset, if I may say like that. I don't believe in multitasking. I don't believe in superpowers. I don't believe in nothing like, oh, I can lift the stone and I can lift the building and everything. I pick one thing and I'm trying to move it as fast as possible. And quick example, in April, we developed Workforce AI. Workforce AI now is powering over 180 companies. Workforce AI is leveraged for Taxeru and what we are doing in Taxeru. And I was focused only on building agent. Brad was witness of the first clip we sent. There was latency. I told him, we don't care about latency because that's something it can be fixed on the run. But I'm caring about it being accurate with what we want to achieve. Two things: do the simple operations and be fully compliant with the human first rule. That's all. During this time, we developed 5 different side products, which are now will go to market. In terms where to focus where your skills are the most powerful. I love John's answer. I already did have business. I know how this works. I'm not going to spend 10 hours in figuring out how prompt works. No, that's stupid. Okay, I need to build a plan. Here's how I'm building plan. Go ahead, follow these steps, be innovative. Bam, that's it. And from there, you will see the side products that are coming along that you can pick on the run and then decide, I want to do this, I want to do that. Maybe this is more profitable, maybe this is more efficient. The reason why I'm thinking this way, and it's proven for us, is that I succeeded in connecting the entire stream of cost. Like customer acquisition cost, many people don't understand it. They just think it's the cost for acquiring the customer, but it's not. There is many communications, many technologies used, many resources used for one acquisition. If that acquisition goes, let's say $200, $300, this acquisition in ratio of the lifetime of this customer, is he monthly, is he annual, is he like seasonal, can be very volatile. So you have to find stability. So stability should be created through the pricing model that you want to efficiently implement. Now, by implementing this, you also have to be aware how many people will drop off, how many people will stay. Once you create this sort of, say, conditionally said constant, you are directly impacting operations. This is where you cut time. This is where you this is where you improve revenue and even better profitability. So I think the best case scenario would be start with your powers to empower yourself more. Like same like riding bicycle. So you start with I don't know, average bicycle, which is nothing special. You become liking it. You start driving faster. So you buy a road bike. Now with the road bike, you can go over more kilometers. After more kilometers, you want to go faster, but faster not to like beat the time, but to gain more kilometers into the pedals and so on. That's how I would start it, because all of the mess we are creating, AI this, AI that, we are getting lost. Oh, John said about this is crazy. I should try it. I'm trying it. I'm losing like a day on it. Yeah, fuck that. Oh, Sanin said like this is amazing. I'm trying it. Oh, Sanin is like, wow, yeah, he's not doing it. He has team. John comes, oh yeah, I can do marketing and all of that shit, blah blah blah. Oh, I'm gonna try. No. Try the simple thing. Try start with cutting the costs. And there you will see how it improves profitability and acquisitions. I think this answers your question, John. If not, let me know. And thanks, guys. This was amazing.
That's I think that everybody here has profited off of that of what you're saying, because it is rabbit holes. We've all gone down rabbit holes on this, and it just waste of time is never a fun experience. So if I could just rephrase what you were saying for my own head, if you don't mind, just get response, and we'll go to the next question. So you have one myopic focus, whatever your business is that generates money, and then you look at cutting costs and increasing revenue. And if these tools work for that, then so be it, use them. And if while you're doing that, there are solutions that are involved that are ancillary within the main focus, and that can bring in more revenue, then that's worth going at. But otherwise, forget it. Like, have a strict rule. Is that right?
Oh yeah. So I mean, like in everything, you have to make sacrifices. I think that the success is not measured by what and how you achieved it. It's measured by how fast you got there or you achieved it. And it goes from the target, and then from the accuracy, which is hitting the target, and then precision, which is scooping the bullets into a single place on a target. We cannot be the best in everything. Like, I'm good in math and statistics, but I suck in design. Like, I don't know draw simple thing. Like, I almost failed in a art class in a primary school. So okay, that's not my skill, but I'm gonna do the math for Andy, and then he's gonna help me to, I don't know, cheat teacher to draw something. And you have to sacrifice some many things. It's not that we are good in everything. And yeah, that's absolutely right how you wrap it up. And thanks, John.
Thank you very much. That's I think everybody needs to hear that, because there's so much noise, and we can delude ourselves and distract ourselves and end up wasting time. Wasting time sucks. So we'll go with I think it was Dylan uh, Hoops, then Juan, or if I got that incorrect, please someone inform me.
Yeah, I think that was right. Yeah, I think what you just said totally makes a lot of sense, and we've all been down those rabbit holes. And sort of piggyback on what Jason was saying as well, is like, I'm somebody who has zero experience in the coding world, right? But I have a lot of experience in storytelling, film production, photography, all that kind of stuff. That's where my strong suit has been, and where I've been growing over the last, over 15 years, right? But now AI opens up this new door. You can start creating things. So, like what Jason was saying, is we're getting all these new creators who are building things, yet they don't know the structure in which to follow. And how I look at it, as I've sort of hit my head against the pavement, is it's sort of like following a recipe, right? Except you don't necessarily need to know every single ingredient, but you do need to know that you don't mix the wet and the dries together until you have all the dry mixes together and all the wets together, right? If you're baking, it's similar like that. And so through just sheer force, I've now learned like the structure of, like, if you're building a React app, these are the file structures, these are the type of things, this is how JavaScript works, etc. And so you kind of know the plan in which to direct the AI. But if you don't know that, the AI can take you on all these rabbit holes in which it might think is the best way to go. That experienced developer will know, no, we're not going to do that. There's a better way. And so, what I'm looking to do, and what I encourage others to do, if you're creating something, you think it's a really good product and you want to really polish it off, maybe you've built it in Bolt or Cursor or whatever, and you've gotten it pretty close, maybe 80-90% there, I would say team up or hire a developer to sort of help you go through that code and through your project and make sure everything is like sort of the best way it should be. And that's like what I'm learning on my own. Like, I was able to build an app in iOS, never done Swift before, and now I have everything that's 90% there, just starting the beta tests. Everything's running smoothly, which is amazing, but I know that bringing in a developer is going to help just flesh everything out, make sure that you don't know what you don't know, right? So it's like bringing someone in that is an expert in that field is only going to make things better. So I think, and then vice versa, like someone can use me, maybe they've made an amazing app, but they have no idea how to market it. They don't know how to tell a story around it. They don't know how to encapsulate someone's attention and sell their product. Well, then that's why you hire someone like me, right? Or whatever. And so there's such a great diverse community here that is also talented in some different areas. We're all tapped into this singular thing of AI, which is so awesome. So I think what's great about these spaces is we can all connect and help each other out where our strengths lie. So anyhow, I just wanted to just say all that, just because the experience is real, but you can make stuff out there, and it's really amazing to see that, like, oh, I can make something and I don't have to know code. because the most code I ever learned was HTML, back in the MySpace days. So we're a long way away from that. So anyhow.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think that what Son said is something that I need to repeat to myself, and I'm going to start to repeat in this room in terms of, not wasting time is a waste of time. No pun intended. So Hoops, Juan, and then Nicholas.
Hey, how you doing? Hey, John. How's everybody doing? Hope you're doing well. Very good. I think I lost my train of thought. I'll come back a little later or not. But great room though. Appreciate you. Appreciate the room.
Hey, Hoops, actually, so that works out perfectly fine. Sorry, AI John, I think you were about to come in there, but I've actually been waiting to because you made a comment earlier and it really gave me a lot of things to think about, and I had a response for you. So earlier, when Sharon was talking, you kind of you just posited, so you would pay them less if they didn't use AI, and I thought that was a profound question, and I thought about it a lot, and I think that it comes down to and if you don't mind, I was kind of curious on your thoughts on this regard. Um, and hopefully maybe that'll trigger your train of thought. But I look at it like a phone, right? It's not about that I'm going to pay them any less. For one, I would say that if they have a remarkable command of knowledge or an indistinguishable talent that is, just amazing, whatever the case may be there, then obviously there's some intrinsic value that they apply to the team or whatever you may have there. But it's like a phone, and so if if I've got a high tech situation going on here, and I got somebody who says, "Oh yeah, I don't even have a phone," and well, it's not even about paying them less. It's just that I don't know if this is exactly the right fit of an environment for you, particularly for what we're looking for, right? But on that caveat, I would say that at the end of the day, anybody that's at least willing to explore the concept and learn it and just be coachable. It doesn't take much to actually teach somebody how to use AI, especially if it's for a specific task. Literally, in fact, if anything, I just need them to be willing enough to be able to sit in front of the AI and ask it enough questions until they get good at that one specific task that I'm asking them to get good at. So I would put it in that lens, not necessarily of like whether it's going to be a concept of like, do I pay that person more or less? It's just more about it's less about the AI and more about the adaptability of the person, the creativity of the person, the initiative of the person, the ambition of the person. So that's how I would look at that scenario. But I'm curious on how you look at that, if you don't mind.
That's directed towards Jason. One.
That question is directed towards Jason, Juan.
Sorry, yeah, no, it was towards Hoops if he was still available because he was the one that made the comment earlier. I thought so. I thought it was Hoops.
I think it was Jason. Jason, you mentioned that you wouldn't hire somebody unless they use AI. Is that correct?
Yes, then I think there was a lady before that also mentioned it, but I forgotten the name.
It was Shannon.
Yeah.
Sharon.
Sorry, what was the question? It was my PC was bugging out a little bit. I was getting a lot of echo.
Go on, Juan.
Yeah, same here. I think something's going on with the signal there. No, what I was saying is it was Sharon actually. She was kind of bringing up the concept about about AI and the differences of it, and based on sonic profile, because Hoops got that kind of voice. I thought it was him that had mentioned that. Maybe I'm incorrect on that. But basically, the concept is around paying somebody a differential on whether or not they use AI. Let's say in the next 5 or 10 years, to put it into better context. And my point is that that's not really how you would look at it. It's more about whether or not they would even be part of the team to begin with. But even somebody that doesn't have the AI knowledge, as long as they have the willingness to adopt that, then that's all that really matters. So I was just kind of curious on anybody's perspective, really.
Yeah, I had mentioned something about the price point to paying someone who use AI and someone who don't. But I think a lot of it is going to be a lot of these design houses. They already have rotating contracts with certain different designers that they've come to build relationships through the years, and I don't think there's any sensible designer right now who's not gonna incorporate AI into their workflow. And these are people who already have years of graphic experience, and just like programmers, someone was talking about earlier, a programmer as opposed to someone who's not a programmer who completes a program. They might want to bring in a programmer to flush things out. I think these people are going to continue to have that advantage because they already have a lot of these contracts, right? Yes, there's going to be there's going to be new people getting new jobs using AI, so on and so forth. But a lot of these houses are also incorporating AI into their workflow. I mean, they'd be stupid if they don't, right? So they'll maintain these contracts, and I guess they'll be working out that those kinks, right? Because AI does accelerate the process. A client comes to you and it takes you 2 weeks to get something done, and now here we are. I mean, with these AI thing, we can be finished in an hour. So then what do you do? Do you hold on to the project and wait out that 2 week timeline that you used to design for this client for, or do you turn this in after after a couple hours of work? So that's what I was really kind of joking around about. But it could become an issue, right? Because we're working so much faster now. And I already myself, and I'm doing things so much faster now. It just makes me do more things. The AI has accelerated any kind of slowness or any kind of procrastination for me. So you do something for somebody, and then you go back to them the next day and it's finished. It's like, hey, so in a few hours you finish this, and I'm still paying you what I normally pay you to finish something for me in like 2-3 weeks. So yeah, I was just messing around with that a little bit.
And I didn't mean to, call any attention to you. It wasn't nothing like that. It was just you made me think
No, no,
about it for
all
a little
good,
bit,
all
and
good, bro.
yeah, yeah. Anyways, I appreciate your thoughts there. Everyone, just wanted to say real fast, I appreciate everybody's contributions here today. This has been a fantastic space. I've enjoyed it. Thank you so much, John, AI John, for having me up here. Especially, I've been speaking a lot. I appreciate you. You'll be getting some lunch from me here later on today. And everybody else, great conversations. Yvonne, Dylan, Jason, Brad, Sonnen, amazing share, man. I actually I forgot to touch on that for just a second. Great stuff. I'm gonna have to look into that. I think you said Brazilian tribe that doesn't even have numbers. Yeah, like that blows my mind because as far as I'm aware, numbers are like the language of the universe. So, anyways, we could talk about that off channel, but I appreciate everybody here. Great space, and y'all have a blessed day. I got to go tend to my wife.
Thank you for taking so much time out of your day. You've got a lot going on, and congratulations. So good for Juan Carlos. A little house clean. We're gonna close up in 10 minutes. Nicholas is new. I haven't seen you here in a while. So how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thanks so much for the great conversations and hosting this today. I just wanted to add a couple of notes about, I think it was Dylan and Jason that mentioned it, maybe a couple of other people about, developing and maybe what they're putting together isn't, kind of up to stuff. And it made me think about it because I am a developer, by the way, just some background. So I've been developing traditionally for longer than I want to admit on this space, but it made me think of shallow and deep. I can see AI, quickly building something shallow, but how deep is it? How useful is it beyond maybe doing something, um, that may solve an issue? I'm talking about, kind of database driven apps, and that's kind of the thing that I develop. It's more enterprise level software. And I don't want to knock AI. This wasn't about knocking it at all because I do also use it. But if you don't have some background in it, I could see it turning into spaghetti code rather quickly. So, and then I just wanted to quickly talk on the money aspect of it as well because I had a project a month ago helping a company build a system to make emails, marketing emails, and it was an AI project, and they wanted me to do a little bit more, but I got the feeling that they didn't want to pay as much, pay enough. I think if you're working on AI projects, I think it should carry a premium. at least, if you're working and you have enterprise customers. So those are my thoughts. Thanks for hosting again.
Do you mind if I ask you a couple questions?
Sure.
So what your background, like what size projects have you been working on? What is your experience with enterprise businesses in terms of, do you think are they solving these problems in-house? Are they looking, or is there a lot of questions being asked? And is there a specific industry that you're working in?
Yeah, my industry is mainly medical. It's pharmaceutical companies. That's who I've been servicing. And my customers are, I said enterprise, they're probably more mid-sized, for anywhere from 150 to 400 people, that size organizations. Sometimes with enterprise, it's harder to get a foot in the door if you're a small guy like me. So I'm kind of a solo. Actually, I work with another programmer who I've been working with for many, many years, and we use it together. We use latest is Claude, but we've used ChatGPT, and we've used it either with Cursor or with Continue and Llama. So Visual Studio Code plugins or extensions. So yeah, those are the sizes.
And do you have clients who you've had long-term relationships with? And are you part of the process of generating new relationships, or mainly just getting it done?
So I do have kind of I'd consider them long-term relationships. Company I've working with, consulting with for at least a couple of years, and have worked with in prior to that. Um, one of the things as a developer, I'm not much of a salesperson. So probably the weakest, just like a few people said on here, I don't know if it was Simon who said it, but, if you can't draw, I'm not an artist as well, So sales is probably the thing I struggle with the most, and getting new customers. But recently I'm attending an expo at the end of the month, and I've asked Grok to help me with a social media campaign. So again, it's not so much cold calling, but at least putting something together where I'm going to make posts every day, help me make a graphic. So it did a very nice job putting together a nice campaign for me.
The people you're working with, are they requesting information about AI, or they don't care how it's done, they just want the end product? Is it a
No, the product that
conversation?
I work Yeah, the product that I worked with in January was specifically using AI, and they actually wanted me to use Copilot because they're a Microsoft shop, and Microsoft 365 uses or I guess as part of an offering, you can do a Copilot plugin to your 365 subscription. So they had a specific request, and it was AI, and it was Copilot. Um, some of them don't necessarily. I'm just trying to think if there was anything else that was non-AI. I mean, I use it for other projects, for myself as a coding assistant, not necessarily as an AI project. So I used it both ways, as an AI project and, to help.
Well, I think I don't know if you've been on X for a while or whatnot, but it seems to me like the best tool for networking. And so, I thank you for taking the time to.
Thanks so much, everybody.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and I would follow other people here, and get to know people, which is good. And the people that show up on spaces, especially the ones that stick around, and you'd be surprised. I always am, and so it's wonderful.
This was awesome. Thanks so much, everybody.
Excellent. Well, we're winding up at the third hour. I told myself I was only going to do two, but I keep on doing that. It means I just stay up later at night. Whatever. So what? So I think we're going to wind up. If everybody say final words or what have you, please do. Also, these spaces are recorded. There is information here I think that is definitely worth checking out. So if you share it with a friend or listen to it again, you want to go over to my account and buy me lunch for the time that I put in, that's freaking awesome. I'd appreciate it. Shout out anybody wants to sponsor the show. If you have a company or you know a company out there that could use a focused community that has people that are focused on an objective and that are showing up on a regular basis, the startup community is a great center point. There's a lot going on, and Andy and John's AI Biz Hour is also a great place. And so I highly recommend that if you're somebody listening or you're listening to this recorded, you reach out to myself or Andy, or you ask about us, and let's have a conversation. So that's that. And please, anybody have any last words? I'd love to hear them.
Hey, John, I just want to thank you and Andy for this space. This is fantastic, amazing. I just saw famous What's Up, my brother. Want to greet him. He's an amazing guy. And what's up, Timo and Alex? Yeah, let's push these questions. I think it's something we should really build a culture about. Not only, hey, I've built a cool thing. What have you built it for? Because if like every founder, every developer, every whoever businessman gets into this trap of blindness, just seeing this is my amazing thing. And if people around do not ask questions and stuff, even this can be interpreted weirdly, but I think we are all here adult and cool people. Let's keep asking these questions and then keep building, keep rock and rolling. I love it. Thank you, John, once again. And thank you, Andy. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Son. And yeah, I think that the first principles, I'm going to go and drill down about all that whole subject, but I think you've inspired me to kind of, bring that to the forefront here on a regular basis, because I really need that myself. I only have so many days left on this earth. I want it to be used wisely. My time, I think we all have a limited number of days. 10,000 or more than that, or something to that effect. I drilled down on the numbers once. It was kind of surprising. But so, yeah, let's use it wisely. Let's not waste time, lose time. And so to get focused on what is bringing a return for ourselves and our family and our communities, and the world at large. We're all here, what you do here matters, I think. On whatever level. I don't believe in, necessarily. I can get a little esoteric, but yeah, I mean, I probably will meet Anubis at some point, and he's going to look at me with those eyes and pierce into my soul, and I will know that I hope that I chose wisely. My goodness, Anubis is, enough of that. So, anybody else have any last words besides Sonnen? And then we'll call it a day, and we'll see each other tomorrow. And if not, I'll give you 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, and that calls it a day. It's 3:00 exactly. All right, everybody. It's wonderful talking to everyone, and thank you for showing up. And we'll do this again tomorrow. And this space is only as good as the people that show up and that share. That's what this is all about, is everyone else. I just facilitate. That's all I do. And I have fun. All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.